Chapter 519, On the Same Path. Complete silence. A complete and deathly silence. Everyone started to recover from the initial shock, especially Shu Long and his group. Even though this incident had occurred so suddenly and was so implausible, it had happened in front of him. Everyone looked at Zuemo. Many people couldn't help but sigh inside, as expected of Darren. Zuemo could not pay attention to them so much. His spirit was suppressed almost to the point of causing an internal injury. It took great effort to calm the energies roiling inside of him. But as more and more gazes looked at him, he felt he needed to display more of the mannerisms of a boss. He straightened and coughed lightly. In the silence, it was unusually clear. He frightened himself. Yi Ling and the others suddenly became alert, their expressions even more respectful. I say this. When Zuemo started to speak, the presence of a boss instantly dissipated. You guys want to pledge allegiance to me? Yes, Darren. Yi Ling's response was clean and crisp. But Zuemo asked curiously. His question attracted everyone's attention. Truthfully, no one understood what was going on. Darren has the potential to become king, Yi Ling unhesitatingly replied. Everyone liked hearing flattery. Zuemo was not an exception. He instantly gave a smile. You have pretty good eyes. You managed to find me when I am hiding so deeply? Gu Minggong, who just recovered, suddenly had a strange expression. But when he glanced around and saw the seriousness on Shu Long and the other people's faces, he intelligently suppressed his impulse to laugh. Shu Long, and the others threw gazes of praise at Yi Ling. As Zuemo's core troop and most loyal subordinates, Guard Camp was completely loyal to Zuemo. They originated as Xiozha slaves. Compared to the old-timers of Vermilion Bird Camp, they were less skilled in the ways of social interaction and did not understand the customs of the Xiozha world. Their thinking was simpler and even purer. In their minds, Zuemo was the most outstanding, powerful, and wisest Darren in the world. Even if Zuemo told them to jump into a fire pit, they would jump in together without any hesitation. In their minds, they only existed for Zuemo. Gu Minggong felt Yi Ling was only giving platitudes, but Shu Long and the others did not think so. To be able to recognize Darren's strength in such a short amount of time, this guy had pretty good eyes. Unconsciously, Guard Camp's collective opinion of Yi Ling shot up. Yi Ling's words caused Zuemo to float and feel as though he was an immortal. The incident of almost getting internal injury just now was forgotten immediately. He grinned to the point his eyes were narrow lines. His face bloomed like a flower. Potential to become king? Oh, tell me slowly in detail. Yes, Darren. Yi Ling thought that Zuemo was testing his abilities. He collected his thought with the utmost seriousness before he opened. Darren is young and has cultivated the great day Mo physique. In all of the Mo world, Darren could be called a genius. Situated in such a dangerous place, Darren was able to create such a powerful army and create such a situation. Darren has the signs of being a wise leader that can survive these troubled times. Only Darren, who is strong, has talent, a resilient personality, and also one with great foresight, might become king. Shu Long and the others nodded and exchanged looks. As they communicated through their eyes, they showed expressions of agreement. Shrunken in the corner, Gu Minggong was gaping. As he looked at the smug Zuemo, he felt this was impossible. The person speaking was serious, the person being praised was also serious. There was no flattery, no insincerity. It was terribly sincere and honest conversation. But the clever Gu Minggong opened his mouth a few times, but could not produce a word. Oh, it was a pity that eldest Shixiang and Gongsun Shidi were not present. He had forgotten, he should have recorded it with a jade scroll. Extremely happy, Zuemo instantly felt regret. This was one of those rare chances to grow face. He wanted everyone to see this. Finally struggling out of his regret, Zuemo smacked his lips with lingering hunger and coughed pretentiously. Oh, all right. However, we need to be low-key. No wonder Darren was able to survive in the Xiozha world until now and had even amassed such a group. He really understood the way of concealment. Yi Ling said with sincere reverence, Yes, Darren. Having heard the flattery and having enjoyed it, Mo felt that leaving like this was not fair. He thought and then said, "Oh, since you have such sincerity, then from today onwards, you are Gray Camp. Shu Long will temporarily lead the camp, you will be the vice commander." Yi Ling was overjoyed. "Thank you, Darren, for bestowing the name. But from today onwards, you have to take note and not reveal your identity as Mo." Mo reminded Yi Ling, "Yes." Yi Ling was full of admiration. Darren was extremely meticulous. He turned his head and spoke a few words. The entire Mo army changed their expressions. The Mo that could enter the Mo military all was of relatively strong strength, and changing appearances were not hard for them. However, the Mo's sense of beauty was far different than Xiuzhe. They preferred more rough and powerful appearances. Then Yi Long greeted Shu Long and the others had been Xiuzhe slaves and oppressed by Xiuzhe for a long time. They did not like Xiuzhe but did not have any bad feelings about Mo. Yi Ling's words just now had won their good opinion. Shu Long and the others felt as though Yi Ling spoke what they all thought. A feeling of walking on the same path rose. Shu Long said solemnly, "I will treat Gray Camp fairly, everyone work hard." "Yes." Yi Ling was full of excitement. Accidentally recruiting Gray Camp caused Mo's sneak attack journey to end in a strange manner, but in all, he had still accomplished his objectives. Under the efforts of Guard Camp and Gray Camp, they quickly began setting up a new base at the Chaos Rift. Compared to the crude base that Yi Ling had, the scale of the new base was astounding. However, the Mo Grass Sea was still uprooted. This was really too eye-catching. At this time, Yi Ling suddenly came to find Darren. Yi Ling said with hesitation. "What is it?" Mo asked. "Darren, please permit me to persuade Sherdong Darren to surrender." Yi Ling gritted his teeth and said with determination, "Sherdong." Mo stilled and then he reacted. "You mean the other Mo army?" "Yes, Darren," Yi Ling hurriedly said. "Sherdong Darren was this subordinate's previous commander." "Oh, tell me about him." Mo's interest was stirred. Sherdong Darren is born from a rare branch of the mantis Mo called the Sky Mantis Mo. Sherdong Darren is the most outstanding battle general this subordinate has ever seen. He is resilient and determined, extremely perceptive in battle. If he was not limited by his birth as a mantis Mo, his accomplishments would not be limited to just so. "How is he compared to you?" Mo asked curiously. Yi Ling's mist-hand seat had left him a deep impression. "This subordinate is inferior," Yi Ling said seriously. "This subordinate has always served as Sherdong Darren's quartermaster." "So that's how it is." Mo instantly had the feeling he was making a great profit and hurriedly nodded. "Then you can try." Yi Ling was overjoyed. Smoke wafted off Sherdong's body. His grand cape was no torn and dirted, his body covered in wounds of various sizes. He also had a tired expression. Beside him, there were only half of the organized troops that remained and all of them carried wounds. Sherdong had not expected the other to be so powerful. Thinking about these nightmarish days of battle, his heart couldn't help but shudder. The enemy battle general was too powerful. Other than at the beginning when the two were at a standoff, Sherdong had been forced to watch as the balance of battle slowly tilted towards the enemy. A slow yet resolute tilt. He had tried all the solutions he could think of but was still unable to stop the tilt. The other had suppressed them completely and did not give them any faults to use. He had never thought he would encounter such a terrifying opponent. Was this the legendary Xue Dong from Kunlun? Or Tianhuan's Gongye Xiaorong? Wasn't this Cloud Sijie? Wasn't this a remote little place that four-realm heaven disdained to enter? How could such a peerless battle general be here? A golden battle general. Only a golden battle general could suppress him to the point of hopelessness. Sherdong was just a step away from becoming a gold battle general. If it wasn't for his Mantis Mo bloodline, maybe he would be a gold battle general already. Since a very early point in his life, he had rarely encountered a match for himself. He never lacked confidence when directing battle. But this time, looking at the small groups of 3 and 5 sword shio that were nearby in the sky, he bit down on his lips with a pale face. Just at this moment, a gasp of shock came from his vice commander. He suddenly turned around his face with a sword-sharp gaze. But when he saw the black insect in the vice commander's hand, he suddenly froze. A good opponent, Lil Miss' voice was full of praise. No one dismissed his words. The hardiness of this troop far surpassed their expectations. Even though Vermilion Bird Camp had quickly gotten the advantage, the others still withstood their assault. Even though they could not stop the rising tide, the collapse in morale that people predicted had not occurred. Even fighting to now with only half of their battalion left, their morale was still shocking steady. If this was a normal battalion, they would have crumbled long ago. This kind of enemy was worthy of being respected. Ever since Lil Miss created his own core scripture, his consciousness expanded rapidly by the day. His last shortcoming disappeared. Lil Miss, who had been strong to start with, had become extremely terrifying, unusually and abnormally terrifying. The advancement in skill caused by his increase in consciousness could be seen in this battle. From the moment the battle begun, the rhythm of battle was in his hands. From beginning to end, he didn't give the enemy on chance. Steadily and unrushed, with a method that was almost suffocating, he pressed on the other's space, leaving them no room to maneuver. However, Lil Miss still had a high opinion of Sherdong. If he hadn't had a breakthrough in his consciousness recently, the other would have been significant trouble for him to defeat. If the battle was fought in those conditions, less than 1/3 of Vermilion Bird Camp would remain, and it wouldn't have been 0 fatalities like it was now. The other reason they had such an advantage was the enemy MO army's level was 1 lower than Vermilion Bird Camp. The investments that ZWE-MO made on Vermilion Bird Camp without any consideration for the cost finally showed their effects. Lil Miss was sure that the other had power that was nearing that of a gold battle general. Of all of Turtle Island, only Gong Sun Cha and ZWE-MO had the power to fight against him. Even Shu Long was lacking in comparison. It was a pity that Sherdong encountered Gong Sun Lil Mississippi. The terrifying Lil Miss that even the renowned Corps Commander Yu Heng had fallen at the feet of. Such a hardy opponent, Gong Sun Cha sighed emotionally and turned to give the order to attack. Prepare to attack, let's finish this battle before sunset. Suddenly, Gong Sun Cha's gaze stopped. He saw the enemy battle general leave the battle formation alone. The sword Xiao at the front quickly flew back and reported to Gong Sun Cha. Darren, they are surrendering. Chapter 520, The Master of Clouds. See, no one had expected that the battle ended in this kind of manner. When Lil Miss received ZWE-MO's paper crane, he did not have any hesitation and led his troops directly towards the Cloud Sea Jie River. No one knew that Turtle Island had achieved victory over the MO army. There were large numbers of Xiozha gathered at the Jie River and were preparing to flee Cloud Sea Jie. When Lil Miss appeared with the troops, he instantly caused panic in these Xiozha. Even the Xiozha that occupied the gathering points on the Jie River assumed that Turtle Island had been defeated. In panic, they instantly abandoned their bases to flee Cloud Sea Jie. Lil Miss easily took over the bases on the Jie River. There wasn't any conflict involved. Those Xiozha that had been running away quickly reacted when they saw Lil Miss take over the gathering places. Turtle Island had defeated them. As expected, the news of their victory was quickly proven. Everyone was overjoyed. At this time, control of Cloud Sea Jie landed completely in ZWE-MO's hands. They had become the true masters of Cloud Sea Jie. The Xiozha that had been planning to escape returned to their homes. Without the MO army threat, who was willing to leave their homeland? Turtle Island's strength astounded everyone. At this time, which faction did not know of ZWE-MO's ambitions? But the situation had formed and they could not do a thing. The other could defeat the MO army. Wouldn't killing them be as easy as waving their hand? The factions that were not willing to be subordinate to Turtle Island left Cloud Sea Jie. However, many families that had deep local roots decided to stay in Cloud Sea Jie. Unexpected to ZWE-MO and Lil Miss, the great majority of people decided to stay. ZWE-MO later learned that most of the people in Cloud Sea Jie did not care who ruled them. Turtle Island's strength was also enough to protect them and for them to feel safe. With the sky-splitting calamity, war was spreading everywhere. These days, the sound tablet continuously broadcasted areas that had become battlefields. which areas had been turned into a patch of scorched earth, or was filled with mountains of corpses. It seemed that within the span of one night, the Xiuzha world really entered a troubled era. In a troubled era, preserving their lives was enough to satisfy most people. But for Zhuo, this was just the beginning. He was extremely busy every day. The enormous cloud Sijie was the largest piece of territory he had ever controlled. The responsibilities as master of a Jie were novel and puzzling for Zhuo, an ignorant country bumpkin with unorthodox origins. The complex matters were piled up like mountains and caused him a headache. He did not know where to start. Out of helplessness, he could only ask Pu Yao and Wei. Now you see, I guess this would happen long ago. Pu Yao did not reserve his disdain as a scornful smile hung on his face. This guy is just a country bumpkin. He can manage some business that doesn't require long-term investment. But to be a small-time landlord, he doesn't have the skill. Wei did not pay attention to Pu Yao's disdain. He had a warm and friendly smile on his face. Did you encounter some trouble? Neither of these two were good people. In all of this, Zhuo was clear on this one point. Nothing more needed to be said about Pu Yao. He was an ungenerous person, but Wei wasn't much better. He might look harmless and friendly, but his level of danger wasn't any lower than Pu Yao. He did not respond to Wei. He had to cause conflict between these two. Zhuo's eyes turned and he suddenly asked, Pu Yao, how is your Yao army? Pu Yao's expression instantly darkened. The anger in his bloody pupil roiled. Those damn talentless trash, idiots, garbage. Even when he used all his methods, the foundations of these people were too weak and they could not satisfy Pu Yao even now. Yao army? Wei gave an interested smile. No wonder Pu Yao had been absent in this past while. So he had been working on a Yao army. It seemed this guy still held a grudge over him stealing away guard camp. Zhuo disregarded Pu Yao's dark expression and said to himself, no matter how powerful Ten-Finger Prison is, it is only the Ten-Finger Prison. It cannot solve all training problems. Useless words. Pu Yao's voice was glacial and his expression was unfriendly. He knew that Zhuo was right. Ten-Finger Prison was very effective, but it also had its limitations. It could not replace true combat. At the beginning, Nan Yu and the others had improved quickly, but recently the effects of lacking combat training had started to show. Their rate of advancement had slowed down. But damn it, was the great Pu Yao Darren someone this boy could laugh at? It seemed that it had been too long since the boy was straightened out. This guy was becoming outrageous. Pu Yao was irritated. Just as he was going to punish Zhuo suddenly spoke. I have a good solution. Ha! Pu Yao seemed to have heard a great joke and roared with laughter. He did not disguise his look full of disdain. You, the country bumpkin, has a solution. This is too funny. Immune to Pu Yao's disdain since long ago, Zhuo's expression was unconcerned. You can listen first and then laugh. Pu Yao's laughter suddenly stopped. He stared hard at Zhuo and a moment later he squeezed out between his teeth, you better have a solution. Otherwise Zhuo said solemnly, many chaos rifts have appeared in the sky-splitting calamity. These chaos rifts have connected the worlds of Yaoma and Xiuzha. It is correct for me to say so. Don't waste words. Pu Yao said coldly. There was a faint smile on Wei's face. He sat motionlessly and listened carefully. The Yaoma and Xiuzha territories can be connected through the chaos rifts rather than traveling through bloody sky metropolis Jie like in the past. The distance between the two sides has shortened. Just as Pu Yao was running out of patience, Zhuo suddenly said, maybe we can create a transportation formation and transport Nan Yu and the others over here. Transportation formation? Pu Yao paused and then had a thoughtful expression. A moment later, he shook his head. Impossible. We cannot determine their location. You know that some transportation formations are composed of a yin and a yang component. What if we get Nan Yu and the others to set up the yin formation? Zhuo asked in response. Pu Yao's eyes suddenly lit up. He was an extremely smart person and instantly understood what Zhuo was thinking. These transportation formations were divided up into yin and yang formations with the two situated in different places. This way, the two formations could still connect, and so there would be a passage. If Nan Yu and the others could set up a Yin formation in the Yao world, a Yang formation set up here, that meant the chaos rifts formed from the sky-splitting calamity were actually natural transportation formations. Pu Yao quickly thought of the difficulty involved. He shook his head and said, "The transportation formations are too complex. None of the others understand formations." "We have sun seeds," Zuoremo said proudly. "The sun seeds can enter the 10-finger prison and be taken out. We can engrave the transportation formation onto the sun seed and use the 10-finger prison to pass it to Nanyu. Wouldn't that work?" This idea is interesting." Pu Yao stilled and then had a pondering expression. A beat later, he said, "We need to try and find out." Zuomo's idea was very daring. "I can supply sun seeds to you. You can find Gu Ming Gong for the transportation formation." "That guy is very clever," Zuoremo said generously. Pu Yao snorted. He did not respond to Zuoremo. "You only have to assign the daily affairs of Cloud Sijie to those local powers and get them to take care of it. If they do it well, reward them. If they don't, they get punished. Gather their powerful Xiozha and make a battalion with your people as the leaders. Adding on your own battalions, who can rebel?" Zuoremo slapped his head and understood. Pu Yao just used a few words and smoothed everything out, pointing straight at the crux of the matter. Zuoremo wasn't stupid. He had been bewilderment because he never had experience dealing with these matters before. After being guided today, he instantly understood. He left the sea of consciousness with excitement. From beginning to end, there was a faint smile on Weiss' face. It was unknown what he was thinking. Sherdong looked coldly at Yiling. Yiling was unaffected. "Does Sherdong Darren have any questions?" "What you say is true." Sherdong coldly spat out, his hand on the mantis blade at his waist. "Completely true." Yiling said sincerely. "All of my subordinates saw Darren's Great Day Mo physique. If Sherdong Darren has any questions, you can ask any one of them." Sherdong's expression did not change. "His subordinates are Xiozha." "There are Xiozha." Yiling corrected the mistake in Sherdong's words. "Guard camp, which is the camp that my superior, Shu Long Darren commands, cultivates Mo skills. Sherdong Darren might have heard of the skill, Hardship Guard." "Hardship Guard." Sherdong's pupils suddenly contracted. Of course he had heard of this name. This Mo skill was something usually cultivated by the guards of Mo generals and had an extremely high in reputation. "Yes, it is the Hardship Guard that most Mo generals' guards cultivate," Yiling said with a grave expression. "But the Hardship Guard that Shu Long Darren and his group cultivate has been modified by a very powerful Darren and is based on the Great Day Mo physique. It is called Great Day Hardship Guard." Sherdong could not stop himself from showing shock. A Darren that can use the Great Day Mo physique to modify Hardship Guard, could they possibly be Xiozha? Yiling asked in response. Sherdong was silent. He knew that Yiling was correct. Someone that had the ability to use the Great Day Mo physique to modify Hardship Guard was a powerful elder who definitely had a profound understanding of Mo skills. This kind of powerful person would not likely be a Xiozha. This didn't just mean they couldn't be Xiozha, they also could not be Yao. There was only one possibility: it was a powerful Mo, and an unusually powerful cultivates the Great Day Mo physique, has created Mo army, and has a Mo elder of immeasurable power. I cannot think of an identity for Darren other than Mo. Yiling was calm and wise. Sherdong was silent for a moment before he asked, "What about those Xiozha?" "This is the Xiozha world. Sherdong Darren." Yiling reminded Sherdong. "A purely Mo troop cannot survive here. Darren needs Xiozha." Sherdong gave a bitter smile. He was persuaded. He sat down dejectedly. Yilong looked understandingly at Sherdong. He said gently, "I know what Sherdong Darren is feeling. For you, surrendering is hard to accept, but if you look at it from the opposite angle, Sherdong Darren, isn't this a great opportunity?" He looked hard at Sherdong and asked, emphasizing each word, "Sherdong Darren, how many years has it been since there was a king arose from our little savage Jie?" Sherdong's body shook. He raised his head, his gaze as sharp as a knife. You think he can become king? Maybe, maybe not. Yi Ling's tone was indifferent. But Darren is the MO with the greatest potential to become king that I have ever seen. So you gambled everything? Sherdong asked. His tone was filled with disdain. Yi Ling was unaffected and smiled as usual. What else do we have? Sherdong Darren? Sherdong became silent again. Chapter 521, Followers having solved his problems, Zhou Mo could finally release a breath. He began thinking about finding water cloud embryo for Agui. Agui's recovery was going well. Even though she was still very wooden, she had more reactions. In a few days, we can go to search for water cloud embryo. By that time, you will completely recover. Zhou Mo was very happy. If they found water cloud embryo, he could heal Agui. Zhou Mo didn't feel any distaste for Agui's ugly appearance. A slight smile was on his face. His hand felt coldness. A cold little hand grabbed his hand. Agui was improving by the day. Every time she found Zhou Mo nearby, she would immediately appear next to Zhou Mo. The thing she liked to do the most was hold Zhou Mo's hand. Zhou Mo allowed her to grip his hand, his other hand rubbing her head. He said with a smile, "When you have healed, Silly Bird and the others will be very happy." In the corner, the fat Silly Bird was napping with her eyes closed. She didn't respond. Looking at the bird nest he created out of Agui's hair, Zhou Mo couldn't help but roar with laughter. Agui still stood silently next to Zhou Mo motionlessly. "Why are you sitting here? Do you have something on your mind?" Mingju's voice came from behind Nanyu. He walked next to Nanyu and sat down. In this recent while, everyone was training together. The hellish training and shared hardship had caused their friendships to strengthen. Just now when cultivating in the Ten-Finger Prison, Pu Yao had viciously scolded Nanyu. When Nanyu left the Ten-Finger Prison, she had ran out alone. Everyone was worried and sent Mingju, who was most skilled in communication, to comfort Nanyu. "Am I too dumb?" Nanyu's tone was melancholic. The rims of her eyes were red and her expression was sad. "I'm always unable to meet Pu Darren's expectations." Even the persistent Nanyu had been scolded to such a state. Mingyu was even more afraid of Pu Yao. "None of us can meet Pu Darren's expectations," Mingju comforted. "It is not that you are not working hard, it is that Pu Darren's requirements are too high. Really, not even the elites in the top Yao art houses can reach what Pu Darren is demanding. It is extremely good that you can do what you have done. Out of all of us, you have improved the quickest." Nanyu's lips were tightly pressed together and she did not speak. "Pu Darren might be stern, but it is for our sake. Look at our present strength. Compared to before, which one of us hasn't multiplied in strength?" As he spoke, Mingju compared his past and present strength and found to his shock that he had improved so much without noticing it. "I miss Darren." Nanyu's voice held a sob. "Darren is never like this." Thinking about the time that Zhou Mo had spent teaching her, Nanyu missed it. "Yes, I wonder what Darren is busy with?" Mingju sighed as well. He gazed into the distance. "However, doesn't Pu Darren also work with Darren? Everyone is speculating. Pu Darren might be an elder of Darren's clan. I don't know what Darren's lineage is. But for his clan possess such a powerful elder, it might be one of the legendary great families. No matter what Darren's identity is, I am Darren's follower. I will forever follow Darren." Nanyu's tone was determined. "And, same with me." Mingju retracted his chair and showed a serious expression. Nanyu suddenly stood up. Her eyes were still red, but her expression became determined again. "What is it?" Mingju was slightly puzzled. "I am going to cultivate," Nanyu said without turning her head. "I am Darren's follower." The figure disappeared with the wind as she threw down the strong oath. Gu Minggong's eyes were swollen like two ripe peaches. He had not rested for 10 days and nights. Even a Jin Dan could not tolerate working conditions like this. Anyone who saw his figure right now would not be able to recognize him as the Grandmaster of Forging and Sealing, Gu Minggong. He stared at the sun seed in front of him. The first time he saw this, Gu Minggong had been so excited his body had been trembling. Treasure. Peerless treasure. When he learned that this was the seed produced by the Sunshin tree, a pleasure like that of an orgasm had risen in his body. Oh heavens! Sunshin tree, the legendary Sunshin tree, hadn't it gone extinct a long time ago? When he learned he would be able to get a few to study, he felt so happy he almost fainted. There was nothing as powerful as legendary materials to a seal Xiao skilled in forging. Then he learned the other person's intentions. They just wanted him to engrave a transportation formation inside the sun seed. He almost went crazy. Transportation formation. What he said was a transportation formation. This kind of priceless treasure was being used for just a transportation formation? He almost threw the other out. He could not tolerate such frightening waste. However, the other quickly taught him what the outcome of being uncooperative was. The great boss personally ran over to persuade him and motivated him in a meaningful tone before leaving. The pitiful Gu Minggong was frightened out of his wits. Even though boss had not mentioned one word of the soul-setting divine light at all, and did not say what would happen if he did not cooperate, but Gu Minggong sank into unprecedented terror. He didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. So what if it was a waste? He was just the worker. He quickly found that this guy in black clothing, floated around like a ghost all day, was the strictest and most terrifying supervisor in the world. The situation was also more complex than he had imagined. The sun seed was extremely rare. He had never seen one before, and even the forging records had never mentioned the qualities of the sun seed. Gu Minggong had to start from the beginning. The sun seed was filled with the domineering Sunshin power. The Sunshin power had formed through a long time as the Sunshin tree grew, and was extremely domineering. Ling power would be consumed by the Sunshin power when it was added, and it was impossible to carve a formation inside. He ran to explain to Pu Yao and was verbally slapped and rebuked by Pu Yao. Pu Yao's viciousness could him that he only needed a result, etc., etc. The pitiful Gu Minggong had the desire to ram his head into the wall and commit suicide. It was a pity that when one landed in the hands of a demon, one was even unable to seek death. Gu Minggong that was slapped and could only study even more ferociously and try everything he could think of. Haha! I did it! I did it! The insane laughter echoed in the room. Whoosh! Pu Yao appeared like a ghost. Without a word, he picked up the sun seed with great carefulness. To Pu Yao, the Sunshin power inside the sun seed was akin to a powerful poison. His consciousness retreated. Pu Yao showed joy and then disappeared soundlessly. The fighting in the Gray Clan's council meeting had not stopped since the meeting started. Song Zhe was silent in the corner. He didn't have any right to speak in this place. A hint of impatience flashed indiscernibly through his eyes at the elders fighting. He felt those noisy elders had gone senile with age. Without Darren, would there be the Gray Clan of the present? In the future? In these troubled times, how many of the small clans like the Gray Clan could survive? Did they still think that this was the safe rear that the fires of war could not reach? Right now, was there still a rear? Clans without combat capabilities were like a piece of fat meat. No one would hesitate to leap and take a bite. Pu Darren had been helping everyone train the battalion. The Gray Clan that only thought about protecting themselves were too stupid. He was Darren's follower. Song Ze's spine was straight as he listened expressionlessly to the discussions of the elders. The chief elder noticed Song Ze's discontentment. His mind shifted and he suddenly spoke. Azay, what do you think about moving the clan? An elder said discontentedly, Chief Elder, Azay is so young, what does he understand? A cold light flashed through Chief Elder's eyes and he interrupted in a grave voice. Shut your mouth. Azay is the future clan leader. When you speak, use your mind. The elder retreated with a red face. Chief Elder was extremely authoritative and influential. Song Zhe was the appointed successor to the Gray Clan, so everyone's gaze instantly landed on Song Zhe. Song Zhe did not shrink back. He did not look at the elders and said directly, I am Darren's follower. No matter where Darren goes, I will follow. Everyone stilled. They finally recalled the matter that Azay was Xiao Mo Guest's follower. In the Yao world, They put great importance on the oath of a follower. Becoming the follower of someone strong was the dream of many people. Not many would easily go back on their word. Chief Elder also knew the displeasure Azay was feeling. He said with a smile, "Azay, continue." Song Zay suddenly swept all of the elders with his gaze and said gravely, "Elders, are we safe? Is the world safe? Are we strong? Strong enough that no matter what comes, we can protect ourselves?" The room was silent. "We do not have a battalion, we do not have battle generals, even with the gray scar art, we have no ability to protect ourselves. And then? We will be swallowed by other people, our gray clan's greatest secret, the gray scar art, will land in the hands of others. Out enemies would not surrender such a good chance." Song Zay stated this cruel reality without any courtesy. Will Darren swallow us? Will Darren need our gray scar art? Elders, did you forget where this gray scar art came from? What is safer than being under the command of a peerless battle general that could defeat Corps Commander Yu Heng? This is an honor. Heat flashed through Song Ze's eyes. All of the elders shifted. After a moment of silence, the chief elder did not disguise the praise on his face and said, "I hadn't expected that our group of old people do not see as clearly as the young one, Azay." Those elders that had been objecting to moving the clan all had shamed expressions. Sky-splitting calamity. The sky-splitting calamity. Chief Elder's heavy sigh echoed in the room. "I don't know how much blood will flow because of this. Everyone, do not dream and be foolishness, troubled times have come." Everyone had grave expressions. They digested what Chief Elder was saying. Chief Elder suddenly stood up. With a serious expression, he said loudly, "In such troubled times, if our Grey clan is to survive, we need a stronger leader. Due to this, I recommend Azay as the new clan leader." Song Zay shouted in shock. Moments later, "I second this." Seconded. "I agree." A new era had arrived. Chapter 522, Beak Island. When Nan Yu and the others saw Zuo, their expressions were spectacular. Even though they knew that Darren was young, the shock when they saw him with their own eyes far surpassed what they felt in the Ten-Finger Prison. What shocked them even more was that Darren was in the Xiuzhi territories. They finally understood why Darren had them change their appearances to look like Xiuzhi when they came through the transportation formation. However, just like Yi Ling, Nan Yu and the others did not have any doubts about Zuo's identity as a Yao despite their shock of where they were. A guy that knew all kinds of lost Yao arts, successfully completed a prison-breaking battle, and defeated Corps Commander Yu Heng. Other than a Yao, what could he be? Xiuzhi? That joke would be so bad. On this point, their thoughts were also the same as Yi Ling. They felt that Darren was definitely a genius from a noble family that was lost in the Xiuzhi conquered territories. No wonder no one in the Yao world had found Darren. They finally realized. Darren wasn't in the Yao world at all. Right now, Zuo was truly the master of Cloud Sijie in name and power. There were many Cloud Islands in Cloud Sijie and he picked a calm Cloud Island to settle the Grey family. The first day that Nan Yu and the others arrived, Pu Yao immediately started arranging a new training regime for them. Pu Yao was full of ambition. As one of the top battle generals of the Yao world, someone that had once dominated the world, he decided to make Nan Yu and the others into the best battle generals of the Yao world. He decided to let Wei realize the truth. Why little Wei could only be a gravestone armor, and I, Pu, had been the best battle general once. The pitiful Nan Yu and others didn't even have the chance to breathe before Pu Yao kicked them into insane training routines. There was a boundary of Jinji set up around the Cloud Island. It was a natural demonic training ground. After Zuo recruited the other powers, Cloud Sijie quickly settled down. The ones selected were those with good reputations in Cloud Sijie. The only two Yuaning that Cloud Sijie had seemed to have disappeared from the world after streaking naked in front of the public at the Sunshin Temple. They hadn't shown up at all when the Mo army had invaded this time. Many people speculated that they had left Cloud Sijie long ago. They really had been greatly embarrassed this time. What face did they have to stay in Cloud Sijie? After arranging everything, Zhuo decided to enter the cloud sea to search for water cloud embryo. This time, he did not take many people along. The cloud sea depths were not suited for large-scale battles. Their group was made up of a guide, Zhuo, Wei Xing, Zhong Ru, Agay, and the little ones. They looked more like a tourist group. Even though they were few in number, their combat capabilities were amongst the top in Cloud Sea Jia. Zhuo, Wei Xing, and Zhong Ru working together might hold up against a Yuaning. Zhuo had not planned to take a Gui along, but Pu Yao told him that it was most effective to consume the water cloud embryo when it was caught, so Zhuo decided to take a Gui along. Silly Bird stalked imperiously and proudly beside a Gui and ignored Zhuo. Lil Pagoda and Lil Fire were cuddled up in a Gui's embrace. Lil Black held onto a Gui's hair in a death grip. 10th grade and Sunshine appeared to be bodyguards and flew around Agay. Zhuo felt great exasperation. In terms of shamelessness and wretchedness, the little ones that Zhuo taught truly learned it all. Zhuo didn't have a solution. In any case, taking one or taking all of them along was the same. He changed his way of thinking. They were pretty good fighters. Nothing needed to be said of Silly Bird. She was the strongest of the little ones. Even Zhuo didn't have a good measure of her abilities. The next strongest was 10th grade. He had made trouble for the insects frequently, and his skill had completely changed. Lil Pagoda was Zhuo's soul-tethered talisman. It played every day and never did anything productive. It could probably only be used when setting up formations. Zhuo had not seen Sunshine fight before. Lil Black's combat abilities were 0, but he was a good helper when finding treasure. Lil Fire could be used to relieve boredom on the road. Zhuo brought along his group and departed. The guide was called Kangda. He made a living by hunting water cloud embryos and was very familiar with the depths of the Cloud Sea. According to Kangda's plans, they first needed to fly to a place called Beak Island and then descend into the Cloud Sea from there. Beak Island was a very famous Cloud Sea port in Cloud Sea Jia. The depths of the Cloud Sea were filled with all kinds of dangers. If one tried entering from a random spot, they frequently did not return. Beak Island had been used as an entrance to the Cloud Sea for a very long time. That part of the Cloud Sea was very safe and there were no strong beings. The distance between Turtle Island and Beak Island was extremely far and there were many parts of the trip that did not have transportation formations. Fully prepared, Zhuo had taken along the black turtle, which saved them the pain of having to flying long distances. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were in seclusion every day. Zhuo played with the little ones every day, and when he had the spare time, he would slowly study the golden leaf he obtained from the Sunshin tribe. He didn't know what secret method had been used to make this golden leaf. The content on it was extremely rich, but because it was from the ancient era, there were many areas that were very hard to understand. Zhuo's attitude was very good. He was not impatient and only studied it occasionally. Other than the methods to cultivate Shin power, he was also interested in the ancient secrets. For example, he found out from the golden leaf that in the ancient era Cloud Sea Jia had been barren and there were no other tribes living here. This was probably the reason that this Shin temple had managed to survive. What stirred Zhuo's interest was that the golden leaf hinted that the Shin temple had been searching for something constantly in Cloud Sea Jia but never found it. Zhuo finally understood and some of his own questions were resolved. Big Brother Qin Ling had once said that the level of this Shin temple was not ranked low within the Sun tribe. Shouldn't such a high-ranking Shin temple be constructed in a large and populated area? Why did they build it in the remote and barren Cloud Sea Jia? But the golden leaf did not mention what they were searching for. However, it was certain that they did not find it because the tone of the records was slightly regretful. Zhuo never stopped cultivating his Shin power, but his progress was extremely slow. It was much harder to cultivate Shin power compared to the 3 powers. Fortunately, Zhuo was not in a hurry. The only thing that made him slightly dejected was that after the 3 powers equalized and his Ling power had increased, but he was still a thread away from Jindan. If he could break through to Jindan, his power would multiple in the span of one night. His Shin power would increase as well, and enter a new realm. However, Zhuo was very content at this time. Shin power, soul-setting divine light, great day mo physique, and the archaic wasteland sacrificial art. Which of these was not powerful and unique? He was able to learn all these. What could he be discontent about? A person could not be so greedy. Zhuo was idle and satisfied. Half a month later, they finally reached Beak Island. Zhuo looked at the large numbers of Xiozha on Beak Island and was slightly shocked. So many people? Kongda explained, this is the best time to search for water cloud embryos and is also when Beak Island is most popular. Whether the yearly harvest is good or not depends on your luck during this time. These people are all searching for water cloud embryos? Zhuo was so shocked his chin was almost on the ground. The great majority are. The Cloud Sea has other products, but this period of time it is most profitable to hunt water cloud embryo. Kongda was clearly very familiar with the present situation. High demand, low supply, wouldn't it be difficult for us? Zhuo frowned slightly. Kongda shook his head. How can it be so easy to capture a water cloud embryo? Island Master, do not worry. You see many people, but the number that will gain something will be very small. They are also not very strong and cannot go deep into the Cloud Sea. The best quality water cloud embryos are deep in the Cloud Sea. Zhuo's heart was slightly reassured. Zhuo's group had changed their appearances so no one recognized them. But Lil Pagoda and the others attracted the attention of these Xiozha. The heat and greed in their eyes caused Zhuo to frown slightly. Brother, are you selling this fireling beast? We can negotiate the price. An eagle-nosed man came over. From nearby, his compatriots looked over. Lil Fire jumped in fright and burrowed into Agui's arms. Lil Fire's intelligent response caused this eagle-nosed male's gaze to heat up. No. Zhuo's face darkened as he walked ahead. Hey, don't go. The eagle-nosed male blocked Zhuo and said with a smile, this little brother really wants it and is definitely sincere. Brother, give a price, we can negotiate. Kongda suddenly spoke. He family brothers, my Darren has said we are not selling, do not keep bothering us. The eagle-nosed male's eyes narrowed slightly and flashed. Someone that can identify of this one's origins should be someone familiar. He Weiss eyes are stupid. Sir, who are you? Kongda smirked coldly, don't bother trying to find out my identity. Let me advise you be good. Otherwise, humph, none of your brothers will be able to escape. This was slightly troublesome. Weiss' heart shook. Someone that could identify his origins was definitely someone familiar. The other's tone was so harsh he clearly had a powerful background and didn't need to consider him. Wei was experienced and knew when to bow. He smiled and said, Brother, what are you saying? This little brother came up to ask, and does not have malicious intentions. He perceptively stepped out of the way. He watched as Zhuo's group left and thought hard, who was this? His brothers quickly came over. How is it? Are they not selling? No. Weiss' expression was solemn, and one of them recognizes us. It definitely is someone familiar, but they have changed their appearance. Who cares, just steal it. That fireling beast is definitely very high grade. If we can get it, second brother, your strength will multiply. One of the people said nonchalantly. This group's origins are not simple. If they are not rich, they are powerful. Wei thought back to the meeting and felt the other was calm and clearly did not think highly of them. He shook his head and said, this group might be from a large faction. Let's not cause trouble. The other people all had unconcerned expressions. The geography of Beak Island was extremely unique. It appeared as though a bird was opening its mouth facing the sky. The entrance to the Cloud Sea was where the mouth was open. There was almost no cloud mist at the entrance. Looking down, it was possible to see an endless path that disappeared into the Cloud Sea. Beak Island was actually a mountain peak that had a section above the Cloud Sea. Darren, let's go down. Kongda said respectfully. Chapter 523, Xian Kong Temples Mo and the others did not pay attention to the He brothers. Even Kongda did not keep them in mind. Beside him was the true master of Cloud Sea Jia. People like the He brothers were not worth a mention. As they descended into the Cloud Sea, the light gradually dimmed. The thick Cloud Sea blocked most of the sunlight, but this was not as dark as what Mo had imagined. There were many cloud grasses floating in the cloud layers, and each released faint light that illuminated the world below the cloud sea. Kang De saw Zhuemo and the others curiously examining the cloud grasses and hurriedly explained, "This place is a great producer of cloud grasses. The quality is very good, and occasionally, merchants from the outside will come and buy them. However, this is worthless locally." "What is the use for this?" Zhuemo asked curiously. It was the first time he saw cloud grasses. These cloud grasses were shaped like sea grasses. The blades had the thickness of a pinky, completely white, and would release faint light. The individual bushes were about the size of a basket, and it was possible to occasionally see enormous ones that were multiple zhang in area. "They can be used to forge water element Ling Dan, but only first grade," Kang De said. "Those that aren't strong wouldn't dare to come down. Those that are strong do not care about these cloud grasses. These cloud grasses reproduce extremely quickly and can be found everywhere." Zhuemo understood. Everyone walked down. This mountain path was misty, but the mist was tin. Under the cloud sea, what is most common is all kinds of cloud beasts. There are many people that come to hunt cloud beasts. Cloud beasts are water-oriented, and many people like them. But to get high-grade ones, they need to go deep into the cloud sea. Zhuemo asked curiously, "What qualities of the cloud beasts are outstanding?" Being of the water element, their most powerful ability is their illusory spells. Since their body is formed from cloud mist, unless one encounters fire spells, other spells cannot inflict major damage. Kang De was clearly familiar with this area, and his words flowed without needing to think. "How long has old Kang been here?" Wei Xing asked Kang De. Kang De couldn't help but sigh. "More than a decade. Actually, there are several other entrances to the cloud sea other than this one, but this is the most famous one. Consequently, this place has the most xiuzhe making a living here." Wei Xing smiled. He had endured poverty before, but his heart was dedicated to the sword. The hardships of life did not leave any mark behind, and he naturally did not feel anything. Zhuemo couldn't help but think back to his time at Wukong Mountain when he fought every day for each piece of Jingshi. He instantly felt sympathy. Seeing Kang De's expression was slightly heavy, Zhuemo hurriedly changed the topic. He said with a smile, "Those who have not come down definitely could not imagine that the scenery down here is very good." The faint cloud mist was like silk. The cloud grasses floating in the cloud sea slowly swayed with the cloud sea. Darren has good taste. But the scenery later will be even better." Kang De laughed openly. As Kang De said, the scenery below was even more beautiful. After walking for 4 whole hours, their field of view suddenly broadened. They had passed through the thick cloud sea. The thick cloud sea slowly rippled above their heads, and countless cloud grasses drooped down from the cloud sea. These cloud grasses were extremely large, all of them multiple mu in area. The blades that dangled down were dozens of zhang in length. Looking from afar, the cloud sea was a curved ceiling, and the drooping cloud grasses were like densely packed waterfalls of light. The scenery was spectacular and endless. "It's so beautiful." Zhuemo was astounded. Wei Xing and Zhong Ru were also shocked by the spectacular scene in front of them. Lil Pagoda and the others instantly became excited and flew around Agui. Lil Fire was so excited it started to chirp. Kang De smiled slightly. He was used to the scene in front of him and had become habituated to it a long time ago. The xiuzhe that walked past them all smiled. Every greenhorn that entered the deep of the cloud sea for the first time would have this expression. There was a constant flow of xiuzhe passing by. Everyone hoped to get something early. The price of the first batch of cloud beasts and water cloud embryo was usually the highest of the year. At this time, Zhong Ru, whose eyes had been closed all this time, suddenly made a sound and turned his head slightly. Several Diana Xiao attracted his attention. The leader was one wearing purple Diana robes. He had white brows and hair, and had an extraordinary mannerism. Behind him were 3 Diana Xiao in blue robes who were all very young. These Diana Xiao also noticed Zhong Ru. The purple-robed Diana Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not speak, but his palms came together as he bowed towards Zhong Ru. Zhong Ru's eyes were still closed, but a warm smile came onto his face. He also returned the greeting with his palms together. Noticing Zhong Ru's action, Wei Sheng looked over. The other also noticed Wei Sheng. A thread of shock flashed across the purple-robed Diana Xiao again, but his expression did not change. With a harmonious air, he bowed towards Wei Sheng. Wei Sheng did not speak and bowed slightly in acknowledgement. From beginning to end, the two sides did not speak, but a strange exchange had occurred between the two sides. Only when the other had gone far away did Zhong Ru and Wei Sheng take their eyes away. "These people are not simple," Wei Sheng said in a deep voice. "The Diana Xiao in purple robes is very powerful, and possibly a Yuanying. Even if he isn't far from becoming one." Zhong Ru nodded and agreed. "They should be from one of the great temples. We can ask Yi Zheng. He should know." Zhou Mo, who had been wandering in his thoughts, finally focused. Seeing the two acting as though they were facing a great enemy, he couldn't help but inquire. The two narrated what just occurred. Zhou Mo thought and then decided to go ask Yi Zheng. Kang De hadn't planned on talking, but he still couldn't help but say, "Darren, the cloud sea is thick. Paper cranes and normal flying swords cannot be used here, and cannot deliver messages to the outside." Zhou Mo waved his hand and said, "No worries, I have my ways." Zhong Ru casted a small illusory spell which projected the appearances of the Diana Xiao. Zhou Mo memorized it and then entered the sea of consciousness. Other people could not use paper cranes, but he could go through Pu Yao and pass the message out. But he hadn't expected Pu Yao to snort when he saw the people and said, "There's no need to ask other people, I know their origins." Zhou Mo said suspiciously, "You know?" Pu Yao smirked coldly, "We fought so long in the past, it's impossible for me not to recognize them. They are Baldies from Xian Kong Temple." You better be careful." "Xian Kong Temple?" Zhou Mo almost shouted. The biggest powers in the Xiuzhou world were the four realms, Kunlun, Tianhuan, Shixian, and Xiankong. Xiankong realm was the holy land of the Diana Xiao, and the gathering place of all the famed temples in the world. Xiankong Temple was also the leader of all the temples in the world. Yi Zheng's Great Buddha Temple might also be one of the 10 great temples, but compared to Xiankong Temple, they were not in the same class. "You better not encounter the Baldies of Xiankong Temple. Otherwise the bloody sea of Pu Yao's red eye roiled. Zhou Mo was frightened by Pu Yao's vicious expression. He hadn't seen Pu Yao act like this when it was Kunlun. "Are they more powerful than Kunlun?" "More powerful than Kunlun? Not that powerful," Pu Yao said coldly. "Kunlun is the top in fighting power, but none are more powerful than the Baldies in dragging people down. The Baldies are motherfucking fanatics that do not fear death. There was one battle in the past when the Baldies wanted to exterminate us evil Yaoma, and 60 Yuanying committed suicide by exploding. If it wasn't Lousy that noticed something was wrong, we would have fell for it and been blasted to pieces." "Exploded 60 Yuanying?" Zhou Mo stammered. He was unable to talk smoothly. This secret piece of information was so shocking he lost the ability to think. 60 Yuanying collectively exploding themselves. How crazy would they have to be to do that? One Yuanying from Tianhuan was enough to cause chaos in Cloud Sea. 60 Yuanying? When Zhou Mo came out of the sea of consciousness, Zhong Ru and Wei Sheng looked at him. They had noticed Zhou Mo's terrible expression long ago. Zhou Mo opened his eyes and said in a dry voice, "They are from Xian Kong Temple." "Xian Kong Temple?" Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru inhaled sharply. Kong De's expression instantly turned ashen. Xian Kong Temple. The leader of all Diana Xiao, one of the 4 great sects in the world. Why have they come here? Wei Sheng's sword heart was like stone and he quickly calmed down. Zhong Ru's samadhi was also extremely high. His mind shook and then he recovered his calmness. Zhou Mo also recovered his calm. So what if it was Xian Kong Temple? Hadn't he managed to trick the elder from Tianhuan? He had been frightened by the simultaneous suicide explosion of 60 Yuanying that Pu Yao had mentioned. He turned around his thinking. He was just a little character. They wouldn't give him such a grand treatment. He suddenly thought of something. He had to tell Guard Camp, Grey Camp, Nen Yu and the others to not show themselves in the short term. If the group of fanatics really caught them, they would definitely try to exterminate and kill Yao Ma. Pu Yao was extremely dissatisfied with this action of retreating, but he also knew there was no chance of victory if he had Zhuo Mo face Xian Kong Temple at this time. Wei held a slight smile as he watched Pu Yao and Zhuo Mo fight. But from any angle, it seemed that he was laughing at Pu Yao. After sending out the orders, Zhuo Mo saw the terror in Kong De's eyes and his ashen complexion. He hurriedly comforted. "Let's go, don't bother with them. The Cloud Sea is so large, and everyone has their own aims. We want to encounter them." Kong De's complexion finally improved. He felt that the words were right. He knew just how large the Cloud Sea was. How likely would it be that they encountered each other and competed over the same item? However, after this incident, Zhuo Mo lost all of his interest. The beautiful and vast scenery instantly became tasteless. The Cloud Sea is endless and there are many paths. If it is someone who is unfamiliar, they would definitely get lost. The cloud over Kong De's mind gradually dissipated. Even though everyone was coming down from Beak Island, but the possibility of encountering each other was pitifully small. Zhuo Mo swept the surroundings and suddenly asked, "Why is no one flying?" Kong De hurriedly explained, "The Cloud Sea is different than other places. It is best not to fly in here. The Ling power vibrations can easily attract the attention of many cloud beasts that hide in the cloud layer. At the beginning, many people thought they were powerful and just charged recklessly through, but they never came out in the end. After such a long time, no one dared to fly in there. So that's why." Zhuo Mo finally understood. Fortunately, everyone was of deep cultivation. Walking was not a problem. After walking down for several hours, the cloud layer above their heads that was filled with cloud grasses became further away. Some cloud mist appeared along the road. The cloud mist was extremely unique. It was gathered and did not dissipate. Even when the wind blew past, it did not move at all. Little paths flickered in and out of view between the cloud mists as though there were complex spiderwebs spreading into the cloud mist. Chapter 524, Omen. Looking at the little path that was leading into the Cloud Sea, Zhuo Mo released a breath for some unknown reason. Truthfully, the suddenly appearance of the Xian Kong Temple's Diana Xiao gave him enormous pressure. Anything that could attract Su Kong Temple's Diana Xiao was not going to be anything normal. Zhuo Mo wasn't interested at all. He just didn't want anything to happen as he tried to heal a Gui. "There are so many divergent paths. You know all of them?" Zhuo Mo asked Kong De in curiosity. There were hundreds of these little paths that crisscrossed and confused the eyes. "Darren, don't worry, this subordinate has been hunting here for over a decade and won't walk wrong even with my eyes closed," Kong De said proudly. He then introduced, "These little paths might look complex, but if one goes through a few times, they can learn them. Starting from here, we will enter the true Cloud Sea. The cloud mist here is not thick. The deeper we go down, the thicker it becomes." Kong De led the group at the front. They walked onto a curved little path and quickly disappeared in the Cloud Sea. "Shu, are those people suspicious?" Ming Jing asked probingly. Of the three young disciples, his mind was the nimblest and he noticed Shishu's abnormalness. Pu Yao was correct. These people were Diana Xiao from Xian Kong Temple. The white-browed purple-robed Diana Xiao was called Ding Zhen, and the disciples in blue robes were third-generation disciples. Ding Zhen had come out with these disciples for them to gain experience. Along the way, they had received a message from the sect leader and turned to Cloud Sea Jia. Ding Zhen nodded. That Diana Xiao is from an unknown sect. He actually possesses wish power. It really is rare. Wish power? The three disciples stammered, their face filled with belief. The Diana Xiao that they had seen didn't appear much older than them. He also did not look special. Wish power was one of the rarest powers of all the Diana Xiao powers. The three of them were among the top ranks of the young disciples of Xian Kong Temple and naturally knew what wish power meant. The number of people Xian Kong Temple, the greatest temple in the world, who possessed wish power could be counted on the fingers. There are always better people. The world outside is filled with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Ding Zhen glanced at the trio. Also, that sword Xiu's sword essence is so pure and condensed that I have only seen such a thing before on a few Kunlun disciples. If you encounter him, do not be careless." The other disciple reacted the quickest. "Sure Shu, could they be disciples from Kunlun?" "Not Kunlun." Dingjun shook his head. "The sword essence of Kunlun does not feel like this." The expressions of the three disciples relaxed. It was good that it was not Kunlun. Kunlun had dominated the top position of the four-realm heaven for thousands of years. Even disciples of Xian Kong Temple were not willing to encounter Kunlun disciples. The four great sects fought openly and in the shadows, but there were rarely any direct conflicts. All of them were colossal beings. If fighting really started, it could not easily end. As long as those were not disciples of the other three sects, they didn't feel the need for any consideration. The enemies they were wary of and would treat equally were only disciples of the four great sects, people that were on the same level as themselves. Seeing the unconcerned expression on the faces of the three disciples, Dingjun shook his head inside. But when he recalled how he had been similarly proud when he was young, he smiled and let it pass. The disciples of Xian Kong Temple had the right to be proud. Along the way, Kongda chatted about all the strange tales and rumors of the Cloud Sea. His oratory skills were not good, but he was very experienced and knew many details. Zuomo's group listened attentively. This trip took a day and night before the cloud mist started to become thick enough to obscure their vision. The pure white mist that seemed like cotton almost filled all of their vision. Little paths flickered in and out of the view in this cloud mist. If they were not careful and wandered off into the cloud mist, they would lose their direction. Then it would really be dangerous. Zuomo curiously examined the cloud mist floating in the air. These cloud mist were in the air, but they did not float everywhere. These little paths were very fine, but there wasn't any mist on the path. Zuomo asked Kongda about this. Kongda scratched his head. "Darren, this subordinate has never thought about this. This subordinate has been here for over a decade. Even though the cloud mists will change annually, but these little paths rarely change. Would there be any dangers here?" Zuomo asked. "There are rarely any dangers in this area. Xiozha frequently come through here, so cloud beasts and other things have been cleaned out," Kongda said. As Kongda finished speaking, Zhongru, who was walking in the rear of the group, with his eyes closed, suddenly made a sound and stopped walking. A cold light flashed through Zuomo and Wei Xing's eyes. They instantly stopped moving and held themselves warily. Kongda was extremely confused. "Something is nearing us," Zhongru said in a low voice. Zhongru's samadhi deepened and his sixth sense was extremely sensitive. Unless Zuomo expanded his consciousness, he was not a match for Zhongru. However, Zuomo and Wei Xing were powerful people. At almost the same moment Zhongru spoke, they had also detected danger. Wei Xing held his black sword in his hand. Zuomo's Shun power turned into the three powers and was held in waiting. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several white mist arrows suddenly shot out of the cloud mist with tearing sounds. Zuomo's movement were extremely rapid. His consciousness shifted and several ice mirrors were cast. Ever since he listened to Kongda speak about the unique qualities of the cloud best hears, Zuomo felt that Yao arts were more suited to the cloud sea. Ice mirror was a kind of little Yao art. When Zuomo used it, it was so fast people could not catch it. Bam bam bam. The ice mirrors shattered and a cold energy spread in the air. Several white shadows that charged out of the cloud mist instantly froze as their bodies entered the cold energy. Inside the cold energy were three cloud beasts that were shaped like squirrels. Their body was frozen by the cold energy into ice, and they still maintained their charging position. They were transparent and glowed like ice statues. Their faint blue eyes were beautiful. Bam bam bam. They crashed onto the ground and instantly shattered into a pile of ice. The ice quickly melted into water, and then dissipated into cloud mist to disappear. Cloud mice. Kongda's expression was shocked as he murmured to himself, "No. How can there be cloud mice here?" Hearing this, Zuomo's brow furrowed. "You are saying these things should not appear here?" Kongda refocused and hurriedly said, "Yes, Darren. Cloud mice are very sensitive to the movements of Xiozha, and usually live deep in the cloud sea where there are no people. Also, he halted. Also what? Zuoremo asked in a deep voice. Cloud mice would rarely attack Xiuzhe proactively. Kong Des' expression was not well. Cloud mice are very gentle and their temperament makes them suited to be pets. Female Xiuzhe often like them. It is the first time that this subordinate has seen cloud mice attack Xiuzhe unprovoked. State your point. Zuoremo saw Kong Des hesitating and his face darkened. Kong De gritted his teeth and stated his speculation. This subordinate thinks that something might have happened deep in the cloud sea, so these cloud mice are acting. I understand. We will be careful and take precautions for our safety. Zuoremo understood what Kong De meant, but he was definitely unwilling to go back like this. Before departing, he had made the decision to find a water cloud embryo. This matter did not just concern Age, but also his birth and origins. He had a strong feeling that the relationship between he and Age was definitely not simple. Zuoremo had prepared fully for this trip. He had asked Gu Minggong for several transportation seals, and he was not afraid of encountering danger. Seeing Zuomeau's determined attitude, Kong De could not do a thing. The other person was his boss. Shu, something's not right. Ming Jing's expression was not well. They had encountered several waves of attack. He felt a thread of uncertainty. Ming Jing had come to the cloud sea to hunt cloud beasts before and was not unfamiliar with this place. The unusual situation was clearly a sign of something wrong. What is not right? Ding Jin asked. This disciple has come to the cloud sea before. These cloud mice are fearful of people and would never attack Xiuzhe first. Right now, they are so restless. This disciple suspects that something under has changed, Ming Jing carefully responded. A change? A light suddenly flashed through Ding Jing's indifferent eyes. He seemed slightly excited as he looked towards the depths of the cloud sea. Ming Jing jumped in fright at Ding Jing Shishu's burning gaze. It was the first time he saw such a gaze from the composed and indifferent Ding Jin Shishu. Was there? His mind suddenly shifted as he recalled Ding Jin Shishu having received a message from the sect leader in the middle of their journey. Ding Jin Shishu immediately had hurried to Cloud Sea Jie by traveling day and night. Was there something that the sect leaders cared about that was hiding in the depths of the Cloud Sea? Ding Jin glanced at Ming Jing. Ming Jing's heart jumped. Shishu's gaze was as sharp as a sword and seemed to pierce to the bottom of his heart. Let's go. Ding Zhan's expression became aloof again as he started to walk deeper into the cloud sea. Li Shu's mood was terrible. The mission of the Sun Shin Temple had failed. Even though the sect leader did not punish him, but thinking about what he had lost, there seemed to be a fire burning inside of him. The invasion of the Mo army and the news that Turtle Island had instantly taken over all of Cloud Sea Jie had also arrived in his ears. Turtle Island's power shocked him again. To be able to win against a Mo army, even a normal Mo army, Turtle Island was more powerful than they appeared. They had disguised themselves so well that he had not discovered their true strength. It was a pity that the sect had no interest in Cloud Sea Jie after the Sunshin Temple. Chaos rifts were continuously appearing in the Jies governed by Tianhuan. Several small-scale Yaoma battalions had been discovered in several Jie, and the strength the sect had to spare for minor endeavors had instantly become limited. This was to the point that the number of battalions sent to the front lines had dramatically decreased. If their homeland was invaded by the Yaoma, there would not be any value in guarding the front line. Jingshi, materials, ling grains, and etc. Every kind of resource supply was having problems. These were all major problems. Elder Shin was sent to the front lines and Li Shu received orders to go to a place called Tongyu Jie to assist the local battalion because they had discovered a small Yaoma battalion there. Tongyu Jie was the producer of the Ling Jade, which was important to Tianhuan. Ling Jade was a very important raw material for forging seals. The importance of Tongyu Jie to Tianhuan did not need to be said. In comparison, the remote Cloud Sea Jie that did not produce anything significant and wasn't worth a mention. Chapter 525, Cloud Crystal Mist Flow. In the 7 days and nights they advanced through the mist, the coldness inside the cloud mist increased. Everyone had to channel Ling power to withstand the cold energy. Zhuemo and the others finally understood why only those Jindan and above dared to enter the deepest reaches of the Cloud Sea. This coldness alone was not something those below Jindan could withstand. Zhuemo had the great day-banded flame and the precious treasure of the sun crystal seed. The coldness did not affect him at all. What shocked him was that the little ones, each played happily and were extremely lively. Even Lilfire, whom he had thought would not be able to persist, didn't seem uncomfortable at all in the coldness. They occasionally encountered some cloud beasts along the way, but fortunately, they did not encounter cloud beasts that were too powerful. Kong De's expression was full of worry. The abnormality of the Cloud Sea caused him to feel extremely unsafe. Darren, the Cloud River is up ahead, Kong De's expression lightened. Past the Cloud River, we can find water cloud embryos. This sentence caused morale to rise and the group accelerated forward. Soon later, a large river appeared in their field of view, but when their eyes landed on the Cloud River, they all stilled. Kong De suddenly became overjoyed and exclaimed, "Cloud crystal mist flow. How can there be cloud crystal mist flow at this season?" There wasn't any cloud mist on the surface of the river, yet what was flowing inside the river was not river water, but densely packed ice crystals. These ice crystals were each the size of an egg and were rhomboid. It was clear and transparent, and there was a small ball of cloud mist which slowly flowed inside each rhombus. When the wide river surface that was tens of li in expanse were filled with this kind of ice crystal, countless rays of lights reflected and was dazzling. Zhuemo raised his hand and an ice crystal flew into Zhuemo's hand. Strangely, once the ice crystal left the river, it quickly melted into a thread of cloud mist that disappeared into the air. Wei Sheng and Zhongru had never seen this before and tried to grab the ice crystals as well. Wei Sheng made a light sound of surprise. Such heavy coldness. Kong De said with a smile. The cloud mist would condense into a flow of water and gather in the Cloud River. Every decade, a cold flow would come. When the coldness invaded the Cloud River, it would form the cloud crystal mist flow. The little ball of cloud mist inside these ice crystals are the purest of cloud essence and is something great for forging. Every time the cloud crystal mist flow appears, there would be troops of Xiozha that come here to harvest the cloud essence. We are very fortunate to encounter this. Zhuemo found that many Xiozha had appeared on the shores of the river. Each person's face was full of joy as they used all the talismans they had to gather cloud essence. Kong De took out a jade bottle and started to carefully gather cloud essence. Zhuemo snickered and said, "We cannot enter a treasure mountain and leave empty-handed." Finishing saying this, hundreds of jade bottles and boxes appeared in front of him. Wei Sheng and Zhongru also started to harvest. If cloud essence was forged into flying swords, the flying sword would become more nimble and quick. Wei Sheng threw the black sword into the air. The black sword hummed lightly and then suddenly produced a strong suction. Like a whale, it sucked in ice crystals. When the ice crystals left the river, they quickly melted and then the thread of cloud essence was sucked into the black sword before it could dissipate. Zhongru activated his attainment golden body. When the enormous golden figure appeared, a faint and authoritative Diana presence spread. A blurry bottle suddenly appeared in one of the hands of the mountainous golden body. The mouth of the bottle was pointed towards the river and countless ice crystals flowed into the bottle like birds returning to their nest. In comparison to the other two, Zhuemo was lacking. Even though his efficiency was high and he filled up all of his jade boxes and bottles, he still was not satisfied. His eyes turned and then he suddenly thought of the Een Fire Bead chapter. Didn't this cloud essence belong to the Een? He then tried to cast the spell of the Een bead and motioned at the Cloud River. Bam! Hundreds of ice crystals in the river suddenly exploded. The threads of cloud essence were like a barrage of rain that shot into Zhuemo's hands and gathered into a thumb-sized bead. This bead was round and glowing as though it was carved out of crystal. What was most marvelous was that there was a faint cloudy mist floating around it that made it very beautiful. Zhuemo saw that this method was workable and he laughed. He became even more motivated. Lil Pagoda laboriously flapped its eaves to absorb cloud essence. In Zhuemo's eyes, the Xiozha that had forged Lil Pagodas was creative, but his method had been very primitive and crude. The reason that Lil Pagoda was able to reach this level was completely through relying on piles of talismans and rare materials. Gold, wood, water, fire, earth were the 5 levels of the pagoda. Zhuemo had put the 6th grade jade hook tree on the wood level, and Zhuemo's unique Great Day Banded Flame was on the fire level. The gold level was filled with vast amounts of gold crystal sand. Now they had coincidentally encountered the cloud crystal mist flow. It was definitely a 1 in 1,000 opportunity. As the cloud essence continuously flowed into Lil Pagoda's body, its dim water level slowly lit up and then exuded faint cloud mist. The Xiozha on the river shores were disturbed by the noise going on over at Zhuemo's side and gave respectful and awed looks. Attainment golden body. Ding Zhen's eyes suddenly became bright. The figure behind Zhong Ru's back was blurry, but it was the dignified golden body. His shock overtook his ability to speak, and he was silent for a while. Shu, what is the attainment golden body? Ming Jing was astounded. What could cause Shu to lose his composure? The other 2 people also stopped what they were doing. I hadn't expected that it was the attainment golden body. Ding Zhen forced a calm smile. It is a wondrous dhyana scripture. Ever since the 1,000-year battle, it had disappeared. I had thought it was lost, and it is unexpected that a branch has survived. No wonder this boy was able to attain wish power. The successor of Attainment Golden Body is as extraordinary as one would expect. The 3 disciples showed expressions of understanding. So this was a lost dhyana scripture. Ming Zhu, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. The other 2 are also very strong. Hearing this, Ding Zhen stilled. Of the 3 disciples, Ming Zhu was the most stoic, but he was usually correct in his words. Ding Zhen's gaze finally moved away from the attainment golden body. When it landed on Wei Xing's black sword, his pupils expanded. Such heavy fiendish energy. Such heavy killing intent. There is actually such a vicious weapon in the world. When he looked at Wei Xing, he found that the other's gaze was clear without any maliciousness, and his actions were honest. It was possible to see that the killing intent of the sword had not influenced his mind. He couldn't help but praise such a determined and strong-minded man. His gaze moved to Zhuemo. He made a sound of surprise, and his expression became bewildered. Strange, there's something strange, he said to himself. He clearly is not in the stage of Jinden, so how was he able to reach this place? His hand technique is also very strange. I cannot understand it. He kept on shaking his head. When his gaze turned to Lil Pagoda, his eyes lit up, but then he said regretfully, "It is a pity." The 3 disciples were confused by his words. Ding Zhen did not explain and just said, "These 3 are of extraordinary origins. We need to be extremely careful in our journey this time and not get in conflict with them." Seeing the unconcerned faces of the 3 disciples, Ding Zhen's brow furrowed. But when he thought about how they would have him, a Yuanying, supporting them, he couldn't help but laugh. He was too cautious. He did not continue to persuade them and said with a smile, "You may want to harvest some more. It would be difficult to encounter such pure cloud essence in the future. It is a very good gift to give to your Shixiang and Shidi when you return to your sect." This time, even Ming Zhu took out a jade bottle and started harvesting. Of the 3, Zhong Ru was the first to finish. The bottle became even more defined. It had grown longer, and there was a blood-red lotus on the surface of the bottle that flickered. The bottle was shrouded in cloud mist as it slowly faded into the golden body. Zhong Ru's palms came together as he stood up and bowed towards the cloud river. Zhuemo had also formed hundreds of cloud beads. He had used up all of the Ling power inside his body. He stopped, threw a few Ling Dan into his mouth, and sat down cross-legged to recover his Ling power. Lil Pagoda seemed to be overstuffed as he swayed back into Agui's arms and laid down with its tummy facing up. The black sword's absorption of the cloud mist had not decreased. Wei Xing stared attentively at the black sword and found to his surprise that the shape of the black sword was slowly changing. The body of the sword became even narrower, and caused the sword to look longer in comparison. Compared to its previous vicious appearance, it seemed nimbler and more spirited. Despite appearances, its length was actually shortening. The long sword which had been the length of a person was now about the same length to Wei Sheng's ribs. The ruler-straight sword was still simple and unadorned. It had a deep black luster that did not give off any light. The present black sword was still a size larger than normal flying swords but was much more delicate in appearance than in the past. It was as though an ancient wild beast had hidden away its thick claws and teeth to silently settle down. There wasn't any aura of viciousness or fiendish energy, no killing intent, but for some unknown reason, Wei Sheng's heart was full of a faint joy. It took 2 whole hours before the black sword stopped absorbing cloud essence. The black sword suddenly disappeared and then reappeared in Wei Sheng's hand. Wei Sheng gripped the hilt of the sword, which was the perfect thickness and length for his hand. A smile blossomed on his face. Kang De had finished before Zhong Ru did. He had not expected to encounter the cloud crystal mist flow and had not prepared. However, he was not greedy and was very satisfied with the surprise. Darren, after crossing this cloud river and walking for 2 more days, we will enter the grounds of harvesting water cloud embryos. Before Kang De finished speaking, his voice suddenly choked off. Almost at the same time, Zue Mo and the others looked at the cloud river. A blue light suddenly flew out of the cloud river, covered in layers of ice crystals, and struck a Xiuzhe. The Xiuzhe hit was instantly frozen into a statue of ice. He didn't even have the time to scream before he dropped into the cloud river and disappeared. Ice breath beast! Kang De's face turned ashen and his voice trembled. The Xiuzhe who were harvesting by the river shore instantly started to panic. Each of them had ashen faces as they turned and tried to escape. Dozens of blue energies flew out of the river. The Xiuzhe that were struck instantly turned to ice sculptures. Even the expressions of their faces were preserved as though they were alive. This time, even Zwe Mo's group changed expression. These dozens of Xiuzhe were all Jindan but were able to withstand 1 blow of this blue light. What was even harder to believe was that the ones that were hit were the Xiuzhe who had turned in order to escape. Zwe Mo's heart shook. Such high intelligence. Suddenly, someone exclaimed in shock, "Heavens! The cloud river is growing." As he had said, the layers of ice crystals were growing upwards. They quickly reached the same level as the rivers of the shore and they were still rising. At this time, several bolts of blue light suddenly shot at Zwe Mo's group. Face ashen, Kang De's soul almost left his body. Chapter 526 Clear Cloud Python. Kang De was closest to Wei Sheng. Wei Sheng's 2 thick eyebrows shifted. The slender and straight black sword appeared in his hand, drawing an arc and then a horizontal slash. A faint black ripple spread. When the blue light hit the black ripple, it disappeared without a trace. Zhong Ru's eyes were still half-lidded. His expression had not changed, but at some time in the brief moment since the start of the attack, his right hand had formed a seal. The attainment golden body suddenly formed behind him, one hand raised high as though it was holding something up. In this instant, a dignified Dhyana presence rippled outward and spread with the attainment golden body as the center. Zwe Mo, Ague and the others were enclosed within it. When the blue lights came into contact with this intangible ripple, they exploded in the air beautifully like fireworks. From beginning to end, Zwe Mo had not needed to act. He stared at the roiling cloud river as though he was thinking of something. Unlike Zwe Mo's group which remained uninjured, the fatalities and wounds of the other Xiuzhe were extremely high. The blue light that the ice breath beasts exhaled was very domineering and normal Ling armor could not black it. If they were hit, they definitely would turn into ice statues. The Xiuzhe that could stop the attack either had great treasures or were very powerful. Zwe Mo's gaze landed on the 4 Xian Kong Temple Xiuzhe. They were the most attention-catching group. None of the 4 moved. The domineering blue lights seemed to be stopped by an invisible wall 10 zhang away from them. Zwe Mo was intimidated. The others' move was revealed they were more skilled than their group. He was now 100% sure that the leading Dhyana Xiu was a Yuanying. Those that were not Yuanying were not able to resist like this. Ding Zhan's expression was unchanged but his heart had become slightly clouded. The abnormal change of the cloud river was abnormal. It is the ice breath beasts. Ming Jing's expression was not well as he continued. 5th grade cloud beasts, their most powerful move is an ice breath attack. Ling armor below 5th grade cannot stop it. Did they appear previously in this place? Ding Zhen asked. Never. Ming Jing shook his head and responded. At most 3rd grade cloud beasts would appear here. Even 4th grade beasts were extremely rare, much less 5th grade. The expressions of the other 2 disciples were not well. For them, 5th grade cloud beasts were targets they had to face seriously. If the beast had the advantage and the benefit of the geography, they would have turned and fled without Shishu's help. Fortunately, Shishu was present. For a Yuanying Xiuzhe, 5th grade cloud beasts were easily dealt with. Shishu, should we save them? Ming Jing looked at the terrible state on the shores. There was a hint of pity in his eyes as he spoke. We have more important things to do. Do not stray. Ding Zhen looked towards the other side of the shore and said in a deep voice. Shishu, we are to cross the river? Ming Jing probed. Even though he knew that they had an important mission, there was the cloud crystal mist flow that had appeared out of season and the ice breath beasts that should not have appeared in the cloud river. Everything implied that something was unusual here. Stay behind me, Ding Zhen said faintly. He swept across Suamo's group and then turned his eyes away. Ding Zhen stepped out like usual and stepped onto the cloud river. Step by step, he walked as though he was on solid ground, steady and unhurried. The 3 disciples walked behind him and stepped exactly where he had. The moment Ding Zhen stepped onto the cloud river suddenly started to boil. Countless cold blue lights shot out of the cloud river and rained down on the quartet. Ding Zhen's expression was normal and did not change as though he did not see them. The storm of blue lights created countless fragments of energy as they hit the invisible wall. Ding Zhen and the others were not affected and seemed to stroll towards the other shore. The Xiuzhe who saw this all inhaled in shock. So powerful! Zuemo swallowed. This guy definitely is not the average Yuanying. Admiration floated onto Wei Xing's face. The power that Ding Zhen displayed far surpassed their own. However, the admiration was quickly replaced by motivation. He unconsciously gripped the black sword in his hand. The black sword that had completely changed in appearance after swallowing great amounts of cloud essence seemed to feel Wei Sheng's battle spirit and lightly vibrated in Wei Sheng's palm. Wei Sheng felt the slight tremor from the black sword, and lovingly caressed the sword that had become long and narrow. Kangda had been rescued from the jaws of death. An experienced person, his ashen face gradually became normal again. Darren is wise. The ice breath beasts are 5th grade Ling beasts. The ice breath they exhale is glacially cold. Normal Ling armor cannot withstand it. His gaze landed on the ice statues on the shore and couldn't help but feel some grief. As they spoke, the ice crystals spilled out as the cloud river rose. Darren, let's return. Kangda gathered his courage and urged. His voice was full of terror. This subordinate has made a living for more than a decade in the cloud sea and has never seen. Suddenly some of the Xiuzhe which had fled successfully stumbled back with terrified faces. The clear cloud python. Save us. Kangda stopped. In this instant his gaze became stunned. An enormous snake's head suddenly shot out of the cloud mist and swallowed the Xiuzhe who spoke in one gulp. The snake's head was enormous like a mountain that was hundreds of zhang tall. In front of it, Xiuzhe were as minuscule as ants in comparison. It was made from the cloud mist, its 2 eyes gray-white and empty. Just this enormous snake head was enough to scatter some people's minds. Now even Zuemo and the others could not keep their calm. Their expressions changed drastically. Just the snake's head was so terrifying, so how large would the body of the snake be? What was even more terrifying was the presence exuded by this enormous figure was almost enough to make them suffocate. In this instant, Zuemo knew that they were not on the same level. Without hesitation, he grabbed a guay and sprinted towards the cloud river. Let's go! Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were in sync with Zuemo. At the border of life and death, Wei Sheng grabbed Kangda who was trembling. Zhong Ru started to move at the same time. Like arrows flying out of the bow, they shot towards the river. Silly Bird who always seemed to most unconcerned had the fastest reaction. With almost abnormal speed, she flew to the front of the group. Compared with the titanic beast behind them, the ice breath beasts in the river were adorable like pets. Blue lights flew like rain out of the river and shot at Zuemo and the others. At this time, no one kept anything back. Even Zuemo seemed to go crazy, endless Yao arts flying off his fingertips. He dared to guarantee that he had reached a peak state in casting Yao arts. He didn't dare to keep anything back, and he didn't even have the time to think as instinct took over his body. The cloud sea behind him seemed to shake. Terrifying power swept across like a gust of wind. In front of this kind of power, the blue lights of the ice breath beasts were weak like candles in the wind, extinguishing easily. Arctic wasteland sacrificial art. At this time, Zuemo didn't even look and threw the strongest Yao art he knew out behind him. The wasteland beast appeared. The lantern-sized red eyes flashed with an eerie light. As the wasteland beast appeared, it destroyed the wave of power that came at them with a swipe. Compared to the clear cloud python, the wasteland beast was much smaller. However, the wasteland beast stared attentively at the other. Furious battle spirit that was rare to see rose up in its bloody pupils. The clear cloud python also detected the power of the wasteland beast. It stared at the wasteland beast as lightning gathered in its empty gray eyes. The wasteland beast crouched and then leapt at the clear cloud python. The archaic wasteland sacrificial art had drawn out all the power in Zuemo's body. If it wasn't that the three powers could be changed into each other, Zuemo could not have cast the archaic wasteland sacrificial art after casting so many Yao arts. His body suddenly dropped down, and just as he was about to fall into the cloud river, he suddenly felt his neck tighten. It was Silly Bird that had grabbed onto him at this crucial time. Zuemo threw a grateful look at Silly Bird but found to his shock that Silly Bird was rolling her eyes. He instantly became furious. Zuemo's other hand was tightly gripping Agui. Agui's face had not changed at all, as though she did not know what a dangerous situation she was in. Zuemo couldn't help but reflect that it was not a bad thing to be like Agui sometimes. Lil Fire and Lil Pagoda in Agui's arms gave off terrified shrieks once in a while. Grabbing onto two people, Silly Bird was still faster than Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru. She kept a secure lead at the front. The next scene caused Zuemo to gape. Silly Bird was extremely nimble even as she dragged the two of them through the rain of blue light. None of the blue lights managed to hit them. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were also dodging, but they still had to stop to defend against some of the blue lights. A true bird would not show their face. Zuemo's mind moved quickly as he marveled. The bird seemed more powerful than he had imagined. Such a good labor, how had he forgotten it? Waste, such a waste. As though she detected that Zuemo was scheming something, Silly Bird's body suddenly dropped. Zuemo, who had been thinking of how to wring Silly Bird dry, suddenly felt his vision turn blue. The surface of the cloud river was less than half a zhang away from him. He was even able to see the ice breath beasts that were hiding under the ice crystals. Silly Bird's action was clearly a provocative one to the ice breath beasts in the cloud river. Countless blue lights headed for his face. Their goal was Zuemo. Zuemo's soul almost departed. He watched as blue lights took over his field of view. Then his neck tightened again and all the blue lights disappeared instantly. In that instant, Zuemo felt that his heart almost stopped breathing. Zuemo instantly reacted and swore, "You dumb bird, fat bird, chubby bird, you will roast you, cough cough, hiss." Seeing Zuemo disheveled in the air, Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru had sympathetic expressions. They carefully maintained a distance from the raging Silly Bird. Compared to the raging Silly Bird, the ice breath beasts couldn't even count as pets. At this time, a great sound came from behind them. Affected by the tremor, the cloud river seemed to boil and ice crystals shot out of the water. Boom! With a muffled sound, Zuemo and the others found that the large cloud river under them seemed to be torn apart by several great forces. It broke apart. They couldn't help but stop and look back. Chapter 527, Thieving Baldies. Only half of the clear cloud python's head was left. A portion of the cloud energy had been scattered and swirled inside the cavity. The enormous pain caused it to furiously twist its body. All of the clouds within dozens of li were pulled in and the wind cut past like blades. Where was the wasteland beast? Zhuomo's eyes were wide as he furiously looked around to search for the traces of the wasteland beast, but he could not find it anywhere. For some unknown reason, he felt a wave of sorrow. Even though he knew that the wasteland beast was a Yao beast summoned using the archaic wasteland sacrificial art and would not truly die, he still felt a thread of grief. In his mind, the wasteland beast was undefeatable. On multiple occasions, it had been the wasteland beast that had saved him at the crucial moment. In his mind, the wasteland beast was like one of his comrades. Zhuomo stared hard at the clear cloud python that was still twisting around. In this moment, he hated himself for not being strong enough. Silly Bird also detected danger and accelerated. The clear cloud python quickly disappeared from Zhuomo's vision. A rare thread of trepidation flashed through Ding Zhen's composed eyes. He leaned back to look at the enormous body of the clear cloud python and could not move his gaze away. 8th grade Yao beast was something that even he feared. Ding Zhen felt a thread of regret. He should not have brought Ming Jing and the others along. He had not expected the Cloud Sea was so dangerous that it had cloud beasts that were 8th grade like the clear cloud python. Even he needed to be wary against an 8th grade Yao beast. Ming Jing and the others would not even have a chance to escape. No matter where, 8th grade Yao beasts were the top rank of the food chain and powerful existences that Yuanying Xiuzhe did not dare to provoke. This was really fortunate this time. If they had been a bit slower when crossing the river, then it would be dangerous. However, his gaze was fixed on the people that had just crossed the river, and murderousness flashed through his eyes. He clearly remembered the wavering in his heart the moment the strange beast was summoned. No one knew the shock he felt at that moment. He did not recognize the wasteland beast, but the unique, desolate, and ancient presence on the wasteland beast attracted Ding Zhen's attention the moment it appeared. The suicide attack of the wasteland beast, what had heavily wounded the clear cloud python, caused him to reassess the power of the wasteland beast. The clear cloud python was an 8th grade Yao beast. A Xiuzhe that could possess such a powerful Ling beast definitely would not have a simple background. Ding Zhen didn't even think in the direction of Yao arts. There was a distance between the two groups and the river was shrouded in cloud mist, so their view was obstructed. Also, all of their attention had been focused on the clear cloud python. 8th grade Yao beasts, even Ding Zhen had only ever seen a handful. It was only when the wasteland beast appeared that they attracted Ding Zhen's attention. Ding Zhen was considering if he should act against the other. His attitude towards Zhuomo's group was quickly changing. He did not know Zhuomo's goal in entering the deep of the Cloud Sea, but he felt a direct threat. He also was suspicious that Zhuomo's group was also going after that thing in the Cloud Sea. He would not allow anything unexpected to happen on this mission. But when he met the gazes of Zhuomo's group, he suppressed the murderousness he felt because their gazes were full of undisguised wariness. The other was prepared against him. Highly experienced old-timers. Ding Zhen instantly understood. He smiled like usual and nodded towards Zhuomo's group. He then turned with his 3 disciples and disappeared into the Cloud Sea. Crossing the Cloud River safely, they could hear the howls of the clear cloud python from across the river. But for some reason, the clear cloud python seemed extremely wary of the river and did not cross it. Moments later, the shouts of the clear cloud python faded. The cloud river that had been torn into pieces spread everywhere, carrying along the ice crystals. Silly Bird relaxed her claws and Zhuomo collapsed on the ground. He was almost completely out of energy. Even Wei Sheng had an expression of trepidation on his face. Kong De's expression was stunned. He had not recovered from the situation. He intended to kill us just now, Zhong Ru suddenly spoke. Wei Sheng and Zhuomo stilled. The two exchanged a look and their expressions became grave. They knew just how fantastically sensitive Zhong Ru's perception was. There is no good baldi in the baldis of Xian Kong Temple. Zhuomo said hatefully. Wei Sheng laughed. Alive? I'm still alive, am I dreaming? Kong De's voice was trembling as he talked to himself. Zhuomo and Silly Bird rolled their eyes at the same time. Their movements were in unison and it could be seen that the two of them were about the same in virtue. Wei Sheng patted Kong De's back and comforted him, It isn't a dream. Kongda seemed to be crazy. Everyone knew that he had not recovered from the shock of danger just now and were understanding towards his reaction. Zhuo shoved a bunch of Ling Dan into his mouth, crossed his legs and then started to meditate. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru guarded him to prevent any accidents from occurring. As the Ling Dan entered his throat, it turned to a wave of heat that spread through his entire body. Zhuo was the only one that dared to consume Ling Dan in this manner. His channels were larger than normal people, and the paths his Ling power took to circulate it through his body frequently differed from normal Xiu. He did not need to worry about collisions between large streams of Ling power. He manipulated the circulation of Shen power according to the methods on the golden leaf. The circulation of Shen power was more complex than any of the three powers, but its effect was also larger than any spell, Mo skill or Yao art. Just an hour later, Zhuo opened his eyes. He had completely recovered. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru released a breath. If this was any other person, they would definitely be surprised at Zhuo's quick recovery rate, but the two did not find it strange. In their view, nothing normal happened to Zhuo. Kongda also gradually became calm, but his face was still slightly white. What was the big thing just now? It is the clear cloud python. Terror rose in Kongda's eyes as he tried to keep his tone calm. It is the most powerful cloud beast in the cloud sea. From long ago, people have spoken of it, but no one had ever seen it with their own eyes. Many people did not believe it. I also did not think it was real. I hadn't expected it to be true. Clear cloud python? Zhuo's eyes were thoughtful, but he didn't have any memory of it. What grade? I don't know. Kongda shook his head. It should be 8th grade, Wei Sheng suddenly said. No wonder it was so powerful. Zhuo stilled. Then he said with surprise, no wonder it could defeat the wasteland beast. Just as he finished talking, Pu Yao's cold snort sounded in his mind. My ass. Zhuo's expression froze. Passing the archaic wasteland sacrificial art to you is a waste. The honored wasteland beast was killed by an 8th grade little fat snake. Teacher, oh teacher, please do not climb out of your coffin. Shaming you even in Cloud Sijia. I actually took on such trash as a student. I should poke out my own eyes. The misfortune of the school. The humiliation of Yao world. Pu Yao's disdain and mockery was thrown at Zhuo him with everything he was able. Wei suddenly inserted with a smile, you cannot completely blame little Emma. The common saying is right, there are no stupid students, just terrible teachers. A deathly silence, murderousness spread in the sea of consciousness. Little Wei, it seems you are seeking death. Pu Yao was full of murderousness. So sorry, I know, the truth is slightly hurtful. Wei's face was full of innocence and apology, but he looked extremely proud. Bam 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 bam. The two of them started to fight immediately. Zhuo's face was full of exasperation. These two were really extreme. He turned towards Kongda. How far until there are water cloud embryos? Kongda thought and then said, not too far, about 2 more days of travel and we can arrive. However, he halted in speech. However what? Zhuo asked. Kongda gritted his teeth and said, Darren, this subordinate doesn't dare to guarantee that there will be water cloud embryos there. Something big definitely happened in the cloud sea. And this cannot be blamed on you. Zhuo waved his hand and then stood up. He said, we will go immediately to find water cloud embryos. Zhuo decided once they found a water cloud embryo, he would use the transportation seals and get everyone to leave this dangerous place. Kongda calmly quieted down. He also knew if he secretly ran away, he would not be able to escape the cloud sea. If he followed Darren, he would have at least a small guarantee of safety. The group stood and continued to advance. After walking for an hour, Kongda's face gradually became ugly. He suddenly stopped walking. Darren, the road is not right. The road is not right? Zhuo and the others stilled. This subordinate is extremely familiar with this route and did not feel it at the beginning, but now, this subordinate is certain that the road is not correct. It seems someone has modified it. Kongda's expression was puzzled. Zuemo and the others changed expression. He closed his eyes and spread out his Shin power. When he opened his eyes, murderousness flashed through his eyes. Those damned baldies. As he spoke, he suddenly raised his hand. A ball of light suddenly exploded in his hand. Light charged into the surroundings. It was the art used specifically to defeat illusory arts, bone-crushing obscuring flash. The cloud sea in the surroundings flashed but did not change. Zuemo's expression changed. Another, bone-crushing obscuring flash. Only after the third, bone-crushing obscuring flash, did the scenery change. Wei Xing and Zhong Ru had terrible expressions. They had not detected the illusory art that the other had set down at all. Zuemo's face was black. He had used bone-crushing obscuring flash 3 times in a row to defeat the illusory spell the other set up. This was enough to show the difference in power between them. The other's move was extremely evil. It was just a little illusory spell. If they did not detect it, they would fall. If they got lost in the cloud sea, they would not come out alive. Thieving baldies. Kongda looked around and then his eyes suddenly lit up. I know where we are. Finishing, he hurriedly walked towards the cloud mist on the right. Zuemo and the others quickly followed. The Xian Kong Temple baldies really do want to deal with us, Zuemo gritted out. Rationally, we are not in conflict with them unless they have a target? Are they afraid that we will interfere? Wei Xing showed a ponderous expression. Zuemo said with a snicker, they definitely have something they are after. Otherwise, why would they come to the Cloud Sea? Something that can attract a Yuanyin baldi of Xian Kong Temple definitely would not be a normal treasure. Since they have involved us, he smirked coldly. Originally, the two sides were only traveling in the same direction. You search for your treasure, and I'll search for my water cloud embryo. He hadn't expected the other to be so malicious and sneakily to move against them in secret. Xiao Mo Guest's personality was to settle all scores. There was no reason to slight himself. So what if they were Yuanying? Zuemo could not fight him for the treasure, but in terms of setting down traps, if Zuemo did not have 10,000 ideas, he had at least a few thousand. Don't let Yin counter you. Zuemo gritted his teeth and cursed inside. Chapter 528, Cloud Messenger Kongda leads Zuemo and the others out of the mist, as expected from someone who had made a living in the Cloud Sea for over a decade. However, before they could be happy about leaving the mists, they detected the signs of a battle. It was clear that a fierce battle had just occurred here. Kongda squatted down and carefully examined the marks left on the ground. He quickly stood up. His face was slightly pale but relatively calm compared to before. Darren, it is the Cloud Messengers. Cloud Messengers? Zuemo's face was confused. Kongda explained, Cloud Messengers are a kind of cloud beast unique to the Cloud Sea. They are 5th grade and are extremely fast. Their territorial instincts are strong and they react with great enmity towards those who trespass in their territory. He had a serious expression. Darren, there were not any Cloud Messengers here in the past. At this time, Zuemo felt a strong sense of danger. A streak of flowing light suddenly shot out of the cloud mist and appeared in front of Zuemo. At this time, Zuemo's hand had just started to rise. This streak of light came so quickly it was like lightning. Fortunately, Zuemo had been on guard when he saw the marks on the ground. The Shin power in his body had turned into the 3 powers. Zuemo was shocked but not panicked. His reaction was extremely rapid. Seeing he did not have the time to raise his arm to block. Instead his hand turned over and he slapped up in a backhand. The bright script appeared. Day script palm. Pia. Zuemo's day script palm accurately hit the flowing light. Unexpectedly the light did not shatter. The flowing light was like a rebounding ball that used the power of the day script palm to escape. Being thrown back by the strike, it increased in speed and went back into the cloud mist. Zuemo's hairs suddenly stood up. An expression of disbelief was on his face. The day script palm that had always dominated his enemies was unable to even harm this thing. This wasn't possible. The battle occurred in a flash, but Zuemo, Wei Xing and the others had keen eyes and saw its appearance. The cloud messenger was extremely strange in form. For tentacles came out of a flattened body. Each tentacle had a ball of light at the end which shrouded its body in light. When it flew, its entire body was rotating at high speed, its 4 tentacles extended out to a point. This caused the space shield to also flatten and appear like a dart. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru's faces changed slightly. They understood just how powerful Zhou Mo's day script palm was. The cloud messenger was able to withstand a full-on blow and not be damaged. Both of them were shocked. The cloud messenger was also lightning fast. They were Xiuzhe with a great amount of battle experience and instantly recognized the danger. The thick, almost tangible cloud mist was a great hindrance to their vision, but for the cloud beasts it was the best camouflage. The tip of Wei Sheng's black sword rose lightly. Zhong Ru's cross prayer wheel appeared in his hand as the two prepared to face a great enemy. Kang De's heart was also in the air. Cloud messengers were the cloud beasts that Xiuzhe, who hunted in the cloud sea, like himself, dreaded encountering the most. Ice breath beasts only lived in the cloud river. As long as they did not go near the cloud river, they would not be encountered. But cloud messengers would be commonly encountered once people went deeper into the cloud sea. There were an innumerable number of Xiuzhe that had died due to cloud messengers each year. Even though cloud messengers were only 5th grade, but with its terrifying speed and in this environment covered in mist, it was impossible to always defend against. However, cloud messengers rarely left their territories. There hadn't been cloud messengers here before. What was going on with the cloud sea this year? Kang De was full of bewilderment. Careful, this thing's space shield is strange. Zhou Mo was the first to react and shouted a warning. Before Zhou Mo finished saying this, countless flowing lights shot out of the cloud mist like a barrage. The sound was like a vast bell. It was not loud and arousing, but it rang out like thunder echoing within the clouds. With Zhong Ru as the center, the cloud mist within 5 li suddenly stopped flowing in this instant. Abhina, truth speech. Zhong Ru's first attack was the killing move he rarely used, the Abhina, truth speech. Compared to the time he used it at Nanxing village, the present truth speech was completely different in terms of power. The strange space shield of the cloud messengers could not stop Zhong Ru's truth speech. The flowing lights suddenly stilled. Even though they were not completely stopped, but the murderousness intent had dissipated. Zhou Mo, Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru knew each other well. Zhou Mo and Wei Sheng acted at the same time. What was the cloud mist most afraid of? Fire. The cloud mist was formed from water moisture. When the sun rose, the cloud mist would quickly dissipate. Zhou Mo's control of fire had reached the level comparable to Yuaning. He had formed the Great Day Banded Flame from the Great Day Mo physique, and combined with the Sun Crystal Seed, he had even been bathed in the Shen fire back at the Sun Shen Temple. His skill level in controlling fire was something he could dominate Jinden Xiuzhe with. Bringing his hands together, the golden flames engulfed his hands. As he spread his hands apart, the flames suddenly spilled out like a golden piece of cloth thrown into the air and covering all of the cloud messengers. Wei Sheng's coordination with Zhong Ru was also exquisite. The black sword swung out in a circle. Intimidating sword essence smashed out like a twister. The thick cloud mist was blown away by the sword essence and instantly cleared out an empty space dozens of zhang in diameter. Dozens of cloud messengers were instantly exposed. These cloud messengers were also affected by Zhong Ru's truth speech but were not visible in the mist. Facing such targets, how could Wei Sheng miss them? The black void that represented hundreds of years of Wukong sword sex history showed its power as Wei Sheng swung his sword. Power that was hard to detect with the naked eye pushed and pulled, and caused the space shield of the cloud messengers to creak. At the same time, one of Zhou Mo's hands circled as another twisted. The cloth of flame that had spread and trapped the cloud messengers suddenly tightened. The cloud messengers gave strong and powerful chirps. They had managed to struggle out of the truth speech effects, but the domineering Great Day Banded Flame was glued onto their space shields and would not stop burning. Great Day Banded Flame was a 6th grade flame. The cloud messengers were terrified. They furiously struggled in the circle of Great Day Banded Flame and tried to escape. Yet the tyranny of the Great Day Banded Flame far surpassed their imagination. It tore apart the space shields of the Cloud Messengers. As the space shields were penetrated, the Great Day Banded Flame started to burn the Cloud Messengers. The body of the Cloud Messengers disappeared at a visible rate no matter how they struggled. In a short span of a few breaths, all of the Cloud Messengers around Zhuo were cleared out. Wei Sheng was not lacking in comparison. His sword essence had broken through to the peak of sword essence manifestation and was at the doorstep of boundary. This was a level that normally only Yuanying sword Xiu reached. The black and empty sword essence was like the endless void, deep and without boundaries. The space shields of the Cloud Messengers covered by the sword essence started to corrode and thin at a visible rate until they disappeared. Their bodies also disappeared at the same speed. The combined attacks of the trio had killed hundreds of Cloud Messengers. Kong De's eyes were left wide in awe. Clink clink, many discs the size of a thumb fell from the air. The trio did not move and maintained their defensive state to carefully examine the surroundings. Looking at the experienced and crisp teamwork between the three, Kong De had a strange feeling. He had this feeling that Darren and the others seemed very familiar with the dangers in the Cloud Sea. With the three working together, hundreds of Cloud Messengers had turned to dust with the flick of a finger and was a great blow to Kong De's expectations. The Cloud Messengers were 5th-grade Cloud Beasts and did not have a true ranking among the Cloud Beasts in the Cloud Sea. However, their lightning-fast speed and their numbers had caused countless Xiuzhe to die in the Cloud Sea. Darren and the others were coming into contact for the first time but had found the Cloud Messengers' weakness in such a short amount of time in order to kill them. Were Darren and the others really entering the Cloud Sea for the first time? Of course, Kong De did not know that Zhuo and the other two had experienced a place far more terrifying than the Cloud Sea. On the sealed extinction battlefield, Zhuo and the others had long become used to the fiend souls that could appear at any time. The number of fiend souls they killed were innumerable. What is that? Zhuo picked up a disc and asked. The disc was the size of a thumb and the material felt like ivory. It was clean white and warm, the surface covered with natural patterns. It is a messenger's seal, Darren. Kong De's tone was even more respectful. Every Cloud Messenger would form a messenger's seal in their body. The messenger's seal has naturally forming seal formations. Many seal Xiu will buy them. Other than to study the formations, they are good materials to forge cloud-type talismans. Natural seal formations? Zhuo made a small sound of surprise. He brought the messenger seal in front of his eyes and closely examined it. He quickly discovered something. These patterns that looked chaotic were actually seal formations. So interesting. Zhuo's interest was stirred. It was not the first time he saw a natural formation, but every time, they would give him surprises. Where did the formations of Xiuzhe originate? From nature. Actually, no matter if it was Xiuzhe or Yaoma, everyone's cultivation method was different, but they all were derived from nature, from the world, from copying and mimicking. Things that had natural formations were among the best materials for forging. Zhuo instantly knew the value of the messenger seals. Such a pity, we are in a hurry this time. Zhuo picked up the messenger seals on the ground as he muttered, they are easy to kill, the materials are good, where else would we find something as profitable as this? Cold sweat poured down Kong De's head. Easy to kill? Cloud Messengers were easy to kill? The Cloud Messengers that were the top thing people did not want to encounter had become the most profitable prey to hunt in Darren's mouth. Kong De was speechless. But thinking about how Darren and the others killed hundreds in a brief moment, he chose to close his mouth. Zhuo was planning to get Vermilion Bird Camp to come hunt Cloud Messengers. This was definitely a good business. The Cloud Messengers in the Cloud Mist might have been scared by the attacks of Zhuo's group and not one other Cloud Messenger ever popped out again. Zhuo picked up the messenger seals on the ground and then started moving again. Finding a water cloud embryo was the most important matter. Kong De once again led the way. Zhuo could feel that they were continuously descending because the ambient temperature was gradually decreasing. The cloud mist became even thicker, and Zhuo suddenly found that the patch of cloud mist were formed from tiny ice droplets. Kong Des' expression became even more grave and his speed slowed down. Zhuo and the others tried to be more aware as they carefully followed behind Kong De. They were prepared to fight at any moment. They may have appeared to kill off all the cloud messengers easily, but all of them were wary since the cloud messenger, which was just 5th grade, had been able to take Zhuo's day script palm and come out undamaged. Yet even so, an accident still happened. Chapter 529. The mist people. The cloud mist in front of them was a faint blue. If one looked closely, they would find that each ball of mist was composed of countless tiny faint blue ice crystals. These faint blue ice crystals floated in the air and did not fall. The blue endless mist sea was like an ocean and gave people the feeling of being immeasurable. This. Kong Des' face was pale as he gaped. His expression seemed as though he had seen a ghost. Zhuo's heart jumped as he hurriedly asked, "What is it? Is something wrong?" This is ice mist," Kong De stammered out. "Ice mist?" Zhuo looked at the vast light blue mist and nodded. This name was pretty accurate. However, looking at Kong Des' expression, there definitely was something that was not right. He couldn't help but ask, "What is it? What is wrong?" Kong De swallowed hard, his face pale as though his face was powdered. Darren may not know, but the ice mist is only found in one place. That is the ice mist haze territory at the deepest part of the cloud sea. How can there be ice mist here? Zhuo recognized the situation. "You are saying there should not be ice mist here?" Turning his face, he looked at the vast blue mist sea and shook. Something definitely unexpected had happened. He suddenly thought of a question and his expression changed. He hurriedly asked, "What about the road? Would the road?" "Darren, the road is gone." Kong Des' expression was full of terror. Zhuo's heart sank. "Then the water cloud embryos?" "This subordinate does not know." Kong De shook his head. "This subordinate has never gone into the ice mist haze territory. There are rarely people that go deep into the ice mist haze territory. It is too dangerous. Darren, look at this ice mist, they are extremely cold. If one does not have a treasure or enough power to protect their body, then just contact with the ice mist is enough to freeze them." Wei Sheng raised the black sword, and the tip sand into the ice mist. A layer of frost quickly spread on the surface of the black mist at a visible rate. Wei Sheng shook it lightly and the frost on the black sword disappeared. He raised his face and his expression was solemn. "We need to be careful." Zhuo saw what Wei Sheng had done from beginning to end. If even Wei Sheng felt they needed to be careful, then the danger the ice mist posed was clear. But Zhuo looked at the quiet Egui beside him, his heart filled with unwillingness. Water cloud embryo. Only a water cloud embryo could heal Egui. At this moment, Zhuo felt extremely conflicted. No matter what, he needed to find the water cloud embryo, but he did not want Wei Sheng and Zhongru to end up in danger because of him. Wei Sheng glanced at Zhuo and instantly understood Zhuo's intentions. He smiled. "Just mere ice mist, shitty, do not be nervous." "Finding the water cloud embryo is important, let's go." Turning around, he walked straight into the ice mist. Zhongru smiled slightly. "Darren, time is tight." Finishing, he walked into the ice mist. Zhuo's heart instantly warmed and he was moved. Seeing this, he did not hesitate and took out a transportation seal. "Your cultivation is too low, return first. This transportation formation will take you straight back to the island." Kong De had never gone to the ice mist haze territory before and could not act as a guide any further. Kong De was also weak relative to rest of the group and the ice mist was abnormally dangerous. They did not have the attention to spare to protect him, so Zhuo let him return. Giving the transportation seal to Kong De, Zhuo took a gui and walked into the ice mist. Entering the ice mist, he felt the bone-boring coldness come from all directions. Even Zhuo, with his powerful body, couldn't help but shudder. Suddenly, a wave of warmth wrapped around him. The sun crystal seed appeared above his head and released fine light that covered Zhuo, Agay, and the little ones. Zhuo jumped in fright. The sun crystal seed had always been silent in his body and never moved. Sometimes, he would almost forget the existence of the sun crystal seed. He hadn't thought that the coldness of the ice mist would have stimulated the sun crystal seed out. Wei Xing and Zhong Ru raised their own defenses. Wei Xing was covered in thin sword essence. This layer was extremely thin and wrapped around Wei Xing's body like a membrane. When the ice mist came into contact with this layer of sword essence, it would disappear as though it was swallowed. Zhong Ru held the crossed prayer wheel and slowly turned it. Fine golden sutra characters swam in the surroundings and flicking in and out of view. The strange cold of the ice mist could not break through this seemingly thin barrier of sutra characters. When Zuemo caught up, the three silently took up positions of a triangular formation with Wei Xing at the front. The world is large and has all kinds of wonders, Wei Xing said emotionally. This time, my vision has been broadened by this trip to the Cloud Sea. No wonder so many elders like to travel the world. Zuomo's head shook like a rattle drum. If it wasn't for the water cloud embryo, I won't come to this ghastly place. Oh, but the cloud messengers are good. Wei Xing saw Zuomo's greedy state and he laughed. A strange feeling rose. In terms of strength, Shidi could be considered a great genius that rivaled him, but his personality was completely different than any young genius he had ever seen. Of the geniuses that he had encountered, like the astounding Lin Qian or the many others, they were either had great intelligence and deep talent or they had persistent hearts. Even he himself had only focused on the sword and nothing else. But Shidi was far from being considered the peak of intelligence. His personality was lively, he was businesslike and greedy for money. He learned all kinds of trades, spells, sword scriptures, seals, formations, forging. He learned a little of all of these, and many strange and weird things that Wei Xing had never even heard of. If one saw the things that Shidi learned, he was definitely the classical example of what not to do. But even so, Shidi's strength had reached a level that was hard to believe. He didn't understand how Shidi had cultivated the way he did. Wei Xing shook his head and laughed, throwing the question to the back of his mind. Does Shidi recognize the water cloud embryo? Wei Xing asked. Yes. Zuorimo nodded. He had made good preparations. Wei Xing rested his heart. He suddenly realized that while Shidi looked unreliable usually, but he never made major mistakes. Thinking about this, Wei Xing was thoughtful. The further they walked in, the heavier the coldness of the ice mist was. The blue color of the ice mist increased and the ice crystals that formed the ice mist became bigger. There were still remnants of cloud grasses lingering on the ground. These cloud grasses had been frozen into little ice statues. They would occasionally see corpses of cloud beasts, but they had also been frozen into ice, and on their surface was a strange blue layer. The trio's expressions became solemn. All the traces indicated that when the ice mist arrived, these cloud beasts had not had a chance to escape. Suddenly, Ague turned her head, but no one noticed. Her empty and wooden eyes stared into the depths of the ice mist. A purple light flashed across her eyes. Zuoemo was slightly worried that the sudden appearance of the ice mist would have destroyed all the water cloud embryos. Suddenly, a wave of rustling noises came from the ice mist. The three instantly showed wary expressions, stopped moving, and went on guard. A pair of blue eyes appeared in the ice mist. The trio felt a strong feeling of danger. Without any hesitation, the black sword in Wei Xing's hands suddenly sliced forward. The black and empty sword essence tore apart the ice mist in front of them and exposed the other's true body. A female whose body glowed like crystal appeared in front of them. She had a pair of deep blue eyes. Her hair was a pure snowy white and her chin was sharp. It had an uncanny and beautiful resemblance to work of craftsmanship. Her small lips did not hold any blush. Layer upon layer of light blue ice mist spun around her, and her body that was bare flickered in and out of view. When Zuoemo and the others looked down, they were astounded. Countless blue ice crystals moved on the ground like quicksand. Her lower body was completely made up of this kind of blue ice. Mist people! Pu Yao and Weiss exclamations sounded in Zuomo's mind at almost the same time. Zuomo's heart suddenly jumped and he rushed to ask, "What are the mist people?" He had a bad feeling. This was the first time that Pu Yao and Wei shouted in shock at the same matter. How is it possible? Wei murmured to himself. The aloofness on his face had disappeared, and what replaced it was deep disbelief, as though he was seeing a ghost. Pu Yao's face was not much better. His expression suddenly changed as he shouted, "Quick, run!" Zhuomo's mind blanked. Not good. Pu Yao usually looked down on everything. This was the first time Pu Yao did not hesitate in telling him to run. This would only be one kind of circumstance. The other's strength was such that even Pu Yao was wary. In a flash, Zhuomo's mind was abnormally clear. He prepared to call Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru to flee when something suddenly changed. At some unknown time, their legs had been wrapped up in slender flows of ice mist. No matter how they struggled, they were unable to move. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru instantly detected it, and their expressions changed. Yet no matter how they channeled Ling power, the slender flows of ice mist did not move at all. The three had hopeless expressions. None of the little ones were an exception and were firmly tied up as well. Silly bird that was usually the boss had been tied until she looked like a knot. The mist person looked indifferently at them. The ice crystals under her body supported her and slowly moved her near them. Zhuomo knew that they were finished. The difference in strength was too great, so great that they didn't even have a chance to escape. What are the mist people? Zhuomo's expression did not change as he asked in his sea of consciousness. Pu Yao and Wei definitely knew. An ancient tribe. Wei's tone could not recover its usual calm. They are not too famous, but they have endured. It is possible to see traces of their presence in every era. I had not imagined they would have survived until now. Pu Yao's expression was complex. He was widely read and knew what the mist people were. Everyone had assumed that the ancient tribes had died out long ago. Who could have thought that they would see the lucky survivors of an ancient tribe in the depth of the Cloud Sea? Pu Yao, who had received the elite education of Yao, knew much more about all kinds of secrets than normal Yao. However, about ancient tribes, no matter if it was the Xiuzhou world, the Mo world, or the Yao world, the conclusion was unusually in consensus. They had died out long ago. Ancient tribe? This time, even Zhuomo was shocked. A tribe as powerful as the Sun tribe had died out for tens of thousands of years. An ancient tribe had managed to survive? Suddenly, the gaze of the mist person landed on Zhuomo, and they walked right up in front of him. Chapter 530, Ink Jade Bones. In the deathly silence, there was only the rustling as the mist person moved. Hey, let's talk peacefully, let's talk peacefully. Zhuomo's heart was shaking, but he still pushed a smile on his face. The other's power was unfathomable to him. Of course, it was possible that this patch of ice mist had unusual qualities. Give it. Like her appearance, her voice was unusually icy. Give what? Zhuomo's face was bewildered. Give what? I smell the scent of my clansmen on you. The mist person's crystal-like eyes stared at Zhuomo. Her voice was glacial and emotionless. The smell of your clansmen? Zhuomo was confused. There was a scent of mist people on his body? However, out of the corner of his eyes he saw a flash of purple energy in Agui's eyes. Agui's body had been gradually recovering. The purple energy that had almost disappeared from her body had seemed to recover some vitality. Also, the mist person seemed to feel that Agui was not very strong and the ice mist flows that restrained her were the weakest. Ever since Agui had begun somewhat recovering, she had never used her strange power again. But when he saw the purple energy in Agui's eyes, a thread of hope suddenly rose. His mind spun furiously as he hurriedly said, Is it that I am a mist person? I'm really sorry, my memory has been erased. Am I really a mist person? His intention had been to distract and buy time, but when he finished speaking, even he felt it was possible that he really was a mist person. His birth had always been a mystery, so a rare thread of excitement rose in his mind. You are not, the mist person coldly replied. The thread of excitement calmed. What rose was a thread of disappointment. Then I do not know. A thread of puzzlement flashed through the mist person's sapphire eyes. Her head bowed, she sank into thought. Suddenly, an unique vibration came from his ring. Zuoremo couldn't help but make a sound of surprise. The mist person was attracted by Zuoremo's exclamation and raised her head. At this time, the ice mist chains on the silent Ege suddenly shattered without warning. Pia, the ice mist flows shattered into a light blue icy mist. Agui's right hand was slightly raised as her body twisted strangely on the spot. She was like a puppet that was pulled into a strange position as the purple light in her eyes brightened. There was no sound, no light. The mist person in front of Zuoremo seemed to be robbed of strength, her body softening as she fainted on the ground. The ice mist flows around Zuoremo, Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru instantly dissipated. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru seemed to be relieved of a great burden. Their eyes were shocked as they stared at Ague. Ague did not detect their stares as though she had not done a thing and stood quietly next to Zuoremo. Wei Sheng asked Zuoremo, "Has Ague recovered?" "I don't know." Zuoremo spread his hand with a grimace. The shock he was feeling far surpassed Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru. It was like a tsunami occurring in his mind. He almost didn't dare to believe his eyes. This was not the first time he saw Ague fight, but before this, Zuoremo had been like other people and did not know the method Ague fought with. But this time he recognized it. Shen power. What Ague was using was Shen power. A kind of Shen power that was completely different from his Sun Shen power, but it was undoubtedly Shen power. In the past, Zuoremo had cultivated the three powers but knew nothing about Shen power, so he hadn't recognized that what Ague used was Shen power. Now that what he was cultivating was Shen power, he could immediately see that Ague was using Shen power. There were no words that could describe the shock Zuoremo was feeling at this moment. Ague actually cultivated Shen power. At this time, countless questions flooded his mind. All the clues pointed to the fact that he and Ague had an unknown connection. It was very probable that she knew of his past. Even the 5-element glass bead inside his body seemed to have a certain connection to Ague. He could cultivate Ling power, he was able to cultivate Mo physique, he was even able to enter the 10-finger prison. These clues that had been ignored in the past suddenly became so clear. Then there was the soul-setting divine light, and the Sun Shen power that were also of the same mold. His birth definitely had a close connection to Shen power. But Zuoremo bit down on his lips, his expression changing. Shen power had disappeared a long time ago. Suddenly recalling that the 4 realms hunted the descendants of ancient tribes, Zuoremo unconsciously shuddered. Then thinking about how someone had changed his appearance and erased his mind, a dark and dangerous presence suddenly rose as though it was a figure barely discernible in the thick mist. Was it? Zuoremo's heart shook and he did not dare to keep thinking. He remembered all of his questions. He definitely was going to get to the bottom of all of them. His gaze landed on Ague standing quietly by him, and his gaze softened. The image of Ague blocking attacks for him with her own body was still clear in his mind, as though it was yesterday. No matter what, he had to find a water cloud embryo. Resuming his normal composure, Zuoremo's gaze became determined again. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru, who had been paying attention to Zuoremo all this time, finally released a breath. Seeing the two's expressions, Zuoremo did not want them to worry and smiled. At this time, he suddenly recalled the strange vibration that had come from his ring. He hurriedly started to rummage through his ring. It was this. Zuoremo's pupils suddenly contracted. At some unknown time, the pile of bones in the corner of the ring had become a bright red like burning hot metal. Ink jade bones. The strange vibration just now had come from the ink jade bones. Shocked, Zuoremo took out all the ink jade bones. As the dark red ink jade bones were taken out, the ice mist that flooded the surroundings suddenly rushed towards the ink jade bones like sharks scenting blood. This pile of ink jade bones in front of Zuoremo seemed to be a powerful whirlpool or a bottomless hole that kept on consuming ice mist. The ice mist that was being pulled in turned to slender flows that howled. Zuoremo and the others were amazed. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were all right. Even though they were astounded, they did not know about all the events of the Sun Shen Temple and just thought the ink jade bones were a treasure. Zuoremo truly jumped in fright. No one knew better than him about the origins of the ink jade bones. That was something he had found in the burning Shin realm of the Sun Shin Temple. At that time, he had seen the ink jade bones were of a good color and special quality. He had thought it was a treasure since it was not rotted after tens of thousands of years, so he kept them until now. Thinking about the presence of clansmen that the mist person had just mentioned, and then looking at this spectacular scene, Zhuo instantly understood. The ink jade bones were most likely an ancestor of the mist person. Then they had been captured by the Sun Shin Temple and jailed in the burning Shin realm. The mist person who had been unconscious suddenly woke up with a moan. The trio's expressions suddenly changed, and they realized that they had forgotten to check if the mist person was dead or alive. It might have been that Ague had not completely recovered, or that the mist person was too strong, that this was the first time Zhuo had seen someone survive Agui's attack. Agui's eyes were completely dim now and had reverted back to the usual woodenness. She did not react at all to the awakening mist person. Damn it. The three were just going to act, especially Zhuo. He was preparing to use Shin power. Yet the next scene stunned them. They could see tears on the mist person's face. They were like the pearls dropping off a broken necklace and fell down. The faint blue teardrops became faint blue beads once they left her eyes. When they landed on the ground, they caused a clatter. It was the first time Zhuo and the others had seen someone cry like this. All of them were stuck to their spot. Tears of a mist person. I don't know how a brat like you can have such good luck. In the sea of consciousness, Pu Yao shook his head and sighed. Luck? Zhuo didn't quite understand. Everything that was happening right now did not seem to have a connection with luck. The mist people have cold personalities, and the majority of them would not cry once in their life. The beads formed from the tears of the mist people are called mist people tears, and was an ultimate water element treasure. Even more importantly, once a mist person cries in front of someone, the person will receive their friendship. Pu Yao had great knowledge and described the lore. Really? Zhuo didn't quite believe it. If this woman suddenly went crazy, they wouldn't be able to deal with it. It is true, Wei said solemnly. His voice carried a strange emotion. He felt a mixture of feelings upon seeing the descendants of ancient tribes. Zhuo finally calmed his racing heart. Pu Yao and Wei usually were at odds. If both sides agreed it was true, then it should be true. He gave a look to Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru to stop them from fighting. The two did not understand but refrained from taking action. The mist person only cried for a while before stopping. Standing to the side, Zhuo didn't know how much ice mist the bones had absorbed. The color of the bones had gone from the burning red to a faint blue. The bones became a wondrous glowing blue, transparent like crystal. Rustling suddenly sounded in the surroundings. The figures of numerous mist people flickered in and out of the ice mist. Zhuo and the others changed expression. The mist people came from all directions like the tide. Surrounding Zhuo's group in the middle, Zhuo was furiously replaying that what Pu Yao said, receiving the friendship of the mist person, and hoping it was true, otherwise. The dense crowd of mist people appearing caused Zhuo's scalp to prickle. The next action of the mist people caused Zhuo to be shocked and also sigh in relief. The mist people orderly knelt down like the tide washing over the crowd. There was excitement on all of their faces. Zhuo understood his own weight and knew that the mist people were not kneeling to him. As expected, what they were kneeling to was the pile of crystal bones. He hurriedly pulled Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru to hurry to the side. At this time, it was good to be perceptive. Crack crack. As he moved away, a wave of strange sounds came from behind Zhuo. Turning around Zhuo, he was stunned as though he was struck by lightning. The crystal bones were moving, all of them standing up. One bone flew on top of another bone, and a skeleton gradually formed. There seemed to be an invisible hand that was piecing the bones back together. A hair-raising fear that was hard to describe rose in Zhuo's mind. His hair all stood on end. Chapter 531. The tribe of mist people Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were also shocked by the skeleton. Even Silly Bird that was usually proud was unusually obedient the moment. The skeleton was not weak. Of all of them, The only one that showed calm was Ague. Ague silently stood next to Zuemo and ignored everything happening in front of her. The crystal skeleton was transparent. Every piece of bone was like a piece of art. The entire crystal skeleton was exquisitely beautiful. When the last bone attached the skeleton, the entire skeleton suddenly lit up with a blinding blue light. The blue light spread in all directions in ripples. The mist people who were touched by the blinding light were extremely excited. The ink jade bones that Zuemo had picked up from the burning Shen realm were not whole. There were 3 bones missing, the skull, a rib, and a finger bone. But there was no imbalance that could be seen from this incomplete crystal skeleton, as though even like this it was complete. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru had terrible expressions. They suddenly had felt that the ocean of ice mist suddenly seemed to come alive. Zuemo also detected the transformation of the ice mist. He was astounded. Shen power. This was Shen power. The Shen power released by the crystal skeleton was unusually gentle, so soft that it was almost impossible to detect. If Zuemo was not cultivating Shen power, and was far more sensitive to Shen power than others, he definitely could not detect it. Zuemo was not very shocked that the skeleton was releasing Shen power. He had picked up the skeleton from the Sun Shen tribe's burning Shen realm, so the skeleton definitely came from the ancient era. It was normal for the skeleton to have a connection to Shen power. What he was shocked at was that the skeleton also still contained a trace of life. The Shen power released by the skeleton was weak and gentle, but Zuemo could feel the presence of life contained within it. Even though this presence of life was very weak, but it was truly life force. Zuemo looked uncertainly at the skeleton. Was this a joke? A skeleton tens of thousands of years old suddenly coming back to life. This was ridiculous. Fortunately, the skeleton did not change any further. Its light gradually dimmed. The mist people that had been prostrated on the ground stood up. Several mist people that seemed to be of advanced age carefully went forward, picked up the skeleton, and disappeared into the ice mist. A middle-aged mist person walked in front of Zuemo and made a strange bow to Zuemo's group. Respected guests, all future generations of mist people will remember what you have done for the mist people tribe. No matter when, you are our friends. Even though Zuemo felt slight pain that the ink jade bones had been carried away by the mist people, this also resolved a possible calamity. He hurriedly said, "You are too polite. This was just a coincidence. Speech is unable to express the gratefulness of our clan. Everyone, please, no matter what, come to be guests at our tribe for a few days so that we can act as hosts." The middle-aged mist person said sincerely. Zuemo was slightly conflicted. "Apologies, we need to search for a water cloud embryo?" The middle-aged mist person looked at Ague and understood. He then showed a smile and said, "Sire, do not worry. We know many places where water cloud embryos grow." Finishing, he spoke in a low tone to a mist person beside him. The language they spoke was strange and Zuemo's group could not understand. The mist person nodded as he listened, and after he bowed respectfully to Zuemo's group, he turned and disappeared into the ice mist. "I have ordered him to harvest water cloud embryos. Water cloud embryos are not rare in this area of the Cloud Sea, but there needs to be great care taken with the method of harvesting that few know of. Although the effects of the water cloud embryo are best when they are just harvested, our clan has some special methods that can maintain its efficacy after being harvested." The middle-aged mist person said to Zuemo. Zuemo instantly had a joyful expression on his face as he thanked the other person. "Many thanks. Many thanks." Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru also had happy expressions. They had traveled for so long and expended such effort, but obtaining their target did not take any effort. The middle-aged mist person waved his hand and said, "Compared to the boon that Sir has given our clan, this minor matter is nothing." He ushered Zuemo to the side. "Guests, please." Zuemo's expression suddenly became slightly strange. After hesitating for a moment, he said, "That?" The middle-aged mist person had a puzzled expression. "Sir, please voice any matters you have." Zuemo's old face was slightly red as he pointed at the mist person tears on the ground. "That, can I first pick those up?" Zuemo did not notice that when he said this, The female mist person who had cried suddenly had a slight blush. The middle-aged person roared with laughter. His hand moved, and those mist person tears flew into his hand. He handed them to Zuemo. Zuemo carefully took them with a wide smile. These mist person tears were good treasures. Things that could receive a judgment of good treasure from Pu Yao were definitely unordinary treasures. Following behind the middle-aged mist person, the bone-achingly cold ice mist seemed to recognize them. It became a serene coolness that was comfortable. The middle-aged mist person was extremely amiable and conversed while he continuously introduced the mist tribe to their guests. It was fine for Zuemo, who already knew the history of the mist people, but Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru gaped as they listened. The descendants of an ancient tribe that were isolated from the world? Then the skeleton is... Zuemo asked carefully and curiously. He was slightly worried that this would be a forbidden topic, but he could not resist his curiosity. It is the totem of our tribe, called Lan. The middle-aged mist person's eyes flashed with excitement and happiness. He then sighed. Ever since our clan has moved to this jet tens of thousands of years ago, the totem of our tribe had vanished suddenly soon after. We lost all sense of where it was. Ever since then, the Shen power of the mist people weakened gradually, so we are only able to live in the depths of the cloud sea isolated from the world. Totem. Zuemo finally realized. He had many guesses about the skeleton, but he had not imagined it was a totem of a tribe. When the mist people lost their connection to Lan was definitely when the Sun Shen Temple had imprisoned Lan in the burning Shen realm. The Sun Shen tribe had declined and its last Shen temple turned to dust. Yet Lan, who they had captured, managed to barely survive. When Zuemo spoke of this, everyone couldn't help but sigh. The middle-aged mist person nodded. So it was the Sun Shen tribe, no wonder. Even though we are isolated from the world, there are always one or two of our number that are sent into the ice mist to collect information. I heard that the bloodlines of the ancients have all died out on the outside. Looking at the middle-aged mist person's unresigned expression, Zuemo didn't know how to comfort him and could only nod. The middle-aged mist person was silent. As this news was confirmed, the last bit of hope he had was extinguished. A moment later, he said in puzzlement, "Why have they died out?" Zuemo shook his head. "I don't know, there are probably many reasons." For some reason, he did not want to tell the other about the thousands of years of pursuit and killing four realm heavens did to the descendants of the ancients. He saw the depressed expression on the face of the middle-aged mist person and comforted. Now that Lan has been found, the Mist clan can resume its previous strength. That is just a matter of time. Hearing this, the middle-aged mist person finally showed a smile. As long as Lan is present, our clan can continue. He was full of confidence in Lan. They quickly approached the public gathering area of the Mist tribe. Along the way, an area appeared in front of Zuemo's group. It contained blue pools of various sizes. The sizes of these pools were all different and the water was deep blue. Looking around, it seemed like thousands of mirrors. There were blue balls of mist floating on top of some ponds. It was possible to faintly discern the figures of mist people within the mist. These are the mist pools of our clan. Seeing Zuemo's group show curiosity, the middle-aged mist person explained, "Lan disappeared, we lost our totem and our belief had no place to go, and we were unable to produce Shen power. The ancestors spent great effort to create this mist pool body cultivation method to help our clan survive until now." Powerful! Zuemo praised sincerely. No matter what, any person that could create their own method were very able. Seeing Zuemo and the others, the mist people along the way bowed. Walking out of the mist pool area, large sections of blue building appeared in everyone's view. These buildings were completely blue as though they were constructed from crystal and gave off the feeling of transparency. The walls flickered with light. It was this layer of light that blocked off the gazes of people outside and prevented them from seeing inside. Each building was not large and could only be called a small house. Other than the material that were exquisite in feeling, the style of the buildings were simple and basic. Occasionally, they could see faint wall paintings sketched in faint gray strokes. There were more mist people here than in the mist pools, but Zhuemo and the others found to their surprise that the strength of the mist people here seemed to be much weaker than the mist people they had originally met. Zhuemo suddenly saw an altar out of the corner of his eyes. The skeleton was on top of it. The sacrificial altar was surrounded by mist people as they worshipped it devoutly. Zhuemo found to his shock that the Shen power of the skeleton was stronger than just moments ago. It is a pity that we have lost Lan for too long. There is no priest in the clan. We can only worship daily and hope that Lan can recover as soon and is able to protect the clan. The middle-aged mist person said emotionally. It will be very fast. Zhuemo strangely followed up. The middle-aged mist person paused and then smiled. When he finished saying this, Zhuemo suddenly seemed to feel something. The skeleton on the sacrificial altar seemed to be looking at him. This discovery caused his heart to jump, but when he looked closely, the feeling had disappeared. Zhuemo smiled. It seemed that he was really too nervous. Lan didn't even have a skull, and no eyes. How could Lan be looking at him? Shaking his head and smiling, he followed the middle-aged mist person to walk towards the largest building. This is the conference room of the clan. The middle-aged mist person was apologetic. We have been isolated from the outside world for too long and do not have any buildings to receive guests. Everyone, you will have to make do. Please forgive us for our shortcomings. Zhuemo and the others hurriedly said that he was too courteous. Walking into the conference hall, they found that the inside had clearly been just cleaned. There was a layer of pure white grass laid out on the ground. The table was piled up with all kinds of fruits and foods. Even though it was simple, it made people feel very comfortable. Stepping on the white carpet, everyone felt a wave of coolness seep into the body and their minds clear up. Their nervousness instantly eased and their tiredness swept away. It was unspeakably comfortable. A good thing. Zhuemo's eyes lit up. Chapter 532, Bihan Xian Kong Temple. In the hall, Bihan was prostrated on the ground. He was not of tall height, his figure thin with hollow cheeks and an ordinary appearance. Bihan, how many years have you been in the temple? A warm and thick voice came from behind the thick cloth curtains. 17 years, Bihan answered after a long moment of silence. 17 years, time has passed so quickly, the sect leader sighed emotionally. You are good. I have seen your improvement in these years and is very comforted. Bihan was silent. In the younger generation, other than Little Zhe, only you are able to become a gold battle general. Heard from behind the cloth, the sect leader's voice seemed to have a strange power and was so warm it permeated the heart. Little Zhe has done well in Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia. I know you can also do well. Bihan was silent. Your killing energy is too heavy. I am worried about you. The sect leader's words were full of concern. Having you chant sutras every day was in the hopes that your violent energies can be dissipated. I had always hoped that you would not be required to go into battle, and hadn't expected. The sect leader sighed. A moment later, he said serenely, Go, your Ding Jinshirshu will encounter danger in Cloud Sijia. Take the battalion to reinforce him. Ask Ding Guang for information. You may leave. Bihan was silent. After kowtowing 3 times, he turned and left. The large doors of the hall closed without any wind. The hall was pitch black. A voice suddenly sounded, Sect leader, do we really need to send Bihan? He is a dangerous person. This matter is very important. We cannot be careless. Cloud Sea Jia might be an intermediate Jia. I've never heard of any powerful factions. Tianhuan was just tripped up there. Shen Wuhai is not among the top powers of Tianhuan, but he had Yuaning cultivation. But Bihan, he is a knife, a vicious knife. We have to be careful his tendencies do not harm our people, but now that troubled times have come, it is time to use this knife. The sect leader said peacefully. The middle-aged mist person noticed that Zhuemo was interested in the white grass carpet. He introduced, These are cloud carpets woven from cloud silk grass. Cloud silk grass mostly grown in the deep of the cloud sea, and it takes great effort to harvest. But the most difficult step is processing it. It takes several months of effort to process each strand of cloud silkgrass. The trio gaped. Just now on the road, Mo finally learned the name of the middle-aged mist person. He was Bing Yao, the clan leader of the mist people. The female mist person who had first encountered Mo was Bing Yao's daughter, Bing Yu. Finished speaking, he waved his hand. The cloud carpet instantly shrank to the size of his hand and flew into his palm. He handed the cloud carpet to Mo and said vigorously, "I was troubled over what gift to give to little Zwa. Since little Zwa likes this, then this cloud carpet is little Zwa's." Mo jumped in fright and waved his hand to refuse it. No. This one is already grateful that your clan is helping us search for water cloud embryos." Mo had just learned the value of this cloud carpet from Bing Yao's description. If one strand of cloud silk grass needed that much effort to process, Mo didn't dare to accept such a valuable gift. Pu Yao suddenly shouted urgently from the sea of consciousness, "This is very good, accept it." "I know it is good," Mo responded unconcernedly. "You know my ass." Pu Yao couldn't stop himself from cursing. "This can be used to pass tribulations." Tribulations? Mo's mind shifted, but before he could inquire further, he heard Bing Yao say with a smile, "Brother Zwa, do not refuse. This cloud carpet can calm the mind and remove mental barriers. We mist people are born with cold minds, and this is useless to use. Processing the cloud silkgrass are what our younger ones use to cultivate ice mist. We feel that it is a pity to throw it away, so we have woven it into carpets. Also, Brother Zwa has returned Lon back to us, and a Yu has offended you just now. It really is." Bing Yao's speech caused Bing Yu to blush from behind him. "This cloud carpet is just a token. No matter what, Brother Zwa has to accept it." Bing Yao's expression was serious. Seeing this, Mo knew that he could not refuse and accepted it. Xiao Mo was usually shamelessly greedy, but that was against outsiders. If the other really thought of him as a friend, he couldn't do things so shamelessly. He was not black-hearted enough. Mo mockingly self-reflected as he took out the copper mask from the ring. He handed it to Bing Yao. "I found this mask beside Lon. I do not know if this is also something belonging to Big Brother Bing's clan." Bing Yao took the copper mask and examined it closely for a while. He shook his head and said, "The style does not look like an object of my clan. We will have to ask Lon for sure. If it is of my clan, I will have a thick face and accept it. If it is not, Lon will definitely know its origins and I will return it to Brother Zwa at that time." Mo said with a smile, "No matter if it is or not, this is given to Big Brother Bing." Bing Yao smiled slightly and put away the mask. Right after, Bing Yao started inquiring to the outside world. They knew some, but what they knew was very general. Mo spoke of the wars between Xiuzha and Yaoma, and then the sky-splitting calamity, and also the fact that he had taken over Cloud Sijie. Bing Yao listened with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. He had never expected the change in the outside world would be so drastic. However, when he learned that Mo was the master of Cloud Sijie, he had a happy expression. With this, the mist people, were in much better circumstances. Bing Yao patted his chest and said, "If Brother Zwa needs the mist people in the future, do not be courteous." Mo felt very good about this open and generous mist clan leader. He said with a smile, "I only hope that Big Brother Bing does not find me troublesome in the future." Bing Yao roared with laughter. "I think that Lon would not forgive me." The two sides chatted for a while more before Bing Yao bid his leave for Mo and the others to rest. "Shidi, what you are cultivating is Shen power?" Wei Sheng suddenly asked. Mo knew that he could not conceal this any longer and nodded. It is called Sun Shen power, an inheritance from the ancient Sun tribe. So you were the one behind the Sun Shen temple matter. Wei Sheng was not stupid and instantly understood. He then asked curiously, "Come, let me try your Shen power. I have never seen Shen power before." Zhong Ru's face was also turned over. He clearly was also extremely curious as well. Mo suddenly moved into a strange posture, his two hands crossing and twisted together, his body leaning slightly towards the right as the tip of his right foot was just touching the ground. An extremely hard and yang power suddenly spread in all directions with him as the epicenter. Wei Sheng's pupils suddenly contracted. Threads of black energy suddenly floated out of the black sword in his hand as he swung the sword repeatedly in the air. Pia pia pia. Explosions occurred at the tip of his sword. Zhong Ru's expression changed and he spun the crossed prayer wheel. The sutra characters that were shrouded in wish power shielded him from the front. Bam bam bam. 3 sutra characters exploded before they managed to stop this wave of Shin power. Resting his sword, Wei Sheng thought back and said after a moment, "Such a strange power. As expected, it is different than anything else." Zhong Ru was also savoring it. He followed. Normal spells would have a difficult time stopping it. Zhou Mo thought and then stated his conclusion. Shin power can be seen as the product of combining 3 powers together. 3 powers. Wei Sheng's expression changed. N, Ling power, spiritual consciousness, Mo skills. Zhou Mo's words flowed. Wei Sheng Shixiang was a genius. Zhong Ru was low-key, but in order to have cultivated wish power, he also did not lack talent. These things might be of great use to him. He used even more care and energy to explain and spoke of everything he had felt and concluded regarding Shin power. He also told them the basic methods to cultivate Shin power. As to how much inspiration they would get, that depended on their individual luck. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru both sank into deep thought. The two had already found the edge of power. To them, Shen power was akin to opening a window to another world. There was too much content they needed to digest. Like 2 wooden puppets, they sat motionlessly and entered a meditative state. Seeing this, Zhou Mo did not disturb them. He took Agui and the little ones to sit at the side. Taking up Agui's hand, Zhou Mo hurriedly inspected Agui. Since he knew it was Shin power, Zhou Mo's inspection was even more detailed and focused. Even though his understanding of Shin power was still very shallow, he still made discoveries. What he was first sure of was that the purple energy inside Agui's body was a kind of Shin power. It was a very strange Shin power. Zhou Mo felt that if it was Shin power, it definitely would not be normal, but even so, the Shin power inside Agui's body shocked him. Dark, cold, strange, and able to consume any life. The moment the sun Shin power came into contact with Agui's Shin power, Zhou Mo felt as though he was suddenly pulled into a deathly silent void. There was no sound, no light, no heat. It was a void that created hopelessness. Zhou Mo's mind in that instant was like a candle's flame wavering in the wind and was almost extinguished. Fortunately, his Shin power was much stronger than Agui's Shin power. The sun Shin power was innately extremely hard and yang, so this difference had saved Zhou Mo's life. His Shin power was carefully withdrawn from Agui's body. Zhou Mo looked at Agui's ugly and wooden face. For some unknown reason, Zhou Mo was in a low mood. His eyes were full of deep worry. As his understanding of Shin power deepened by the day, Zhou Mo was clear how great the effects of Shin power was on people. It wasn't just Shin power, the 3 powers also had effects. Xiuzhe that cultivated fire spells usually had fiery tempers. Those that cultivated ice-type spells were usually cold and unaffected by emotion. Such a strange and dark Shin power, and the terrifying seal of all 6 senses, Agu. Thinking about the manner in which Ague had used Shin power before she had been wounded, Zhou Mo's worries increased. Zhou Mo had found a long time ago that Agui's body was in a terrible state. If it was not for this strange power, it probably would not have survived until now. But only today did he understand the terrifying nature of this Shin power. The scene of Ague shielding him appeared suddenly in his mind. That hopeless and deathly void, even just one moment in it caused him to shudder. The Shin power had also been in Agui's body all this time. There seemed to be something weighing on Zhou Mo's heart, and he felt unspeakably uncomfortable. Water cloud embryo. If they could find a water cloud embryo, he could definitely heal Ague. Then he would find a way to heal Agui's wounds and eliminate this terrifying Shin power from Agui's body. It was the first time Zhou Mo felt that time was passing by so slowly. Each day was like a year. Chapter 533, Sin Battalion Bihan turned his head back to look at the temple floating in the sky. The tower peaks could be faintly discerned sticking out from the top of the clouds. By his side, a strange battalion was standing silently. This battalion was extremely strange. Some of them had cow heads, others horse bodies, some had rhinoceros horns growing out of their foreheads. Any Shioja that saw this battalion would be in for a great show. These people were all They were motionless like statues, their eyes dull and a deathly gray-white. Golden seal scripts covered their bodies like beautiful tattoos. This battalion was one of the most famous battalions of Xian Kong Temple. It had a strange name, Sin Battalion. Bihan turned his gaze away and led at the front. The entire battalion slid past like water. Cloud Si Jie. Bihan said lightly to himself. The surroundings were completely silent. In Sin Battalion, there were no vice commanders. Zhou Mo suppressed the urgency he felt and kept his expression calm as he talked about all kinds of topics with clan leader Bing Yao. The young people in the clan liked to crowd around the two of them and listen to the stories. After being kept in isolation for so long, they were full of curiosity about the outside world. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru woke up from their meditation. Both of their presences showed clear changes. Zhou Mo was extremely happy. It seemed that his words had been of some help to them even though he did not know how great of gains they achieved. Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru saw that Zhou Mo was surrounded by many people, so they went into the corner to keep on pondering about Shin power. Fortunately, Zhou Mo had gone to many places and was comparatively experienced. Otherwise, he would have run out of topics long ago. No matter what Zhou Mo said, the young mist people listened with great interest. Suddenly, a figure stumbled in. On his back was an unconscious mist person. Zhou Mo's pupils contracted. This was the individual who had been sent to harvest water cloud embryos that day. Bing Yao's expression suddenly darkened. With a flash, he appeared in front of the wounded mist person. A blue energy flashed on his hand as he carefully examined the other person. Then he questioned the mist person who had carried the wounded companion with a stern tone. He was inquiring in great detail, but due to the difference in language, Zhou Mo did not understand. After finishing, Bing Yao raised his head and explained to Zhou Mo, "Someone fought and injured him. People are traveling into the restricted land." Zhou Mo suddenly recalled the group from Xian Kong Temple and his heart jumped. He hurriedly asked, "Big Brother Bing, will you allow my fellow to examine this person's injuries?" Bing Yao nodded and retreated to the side. Zhou Mo indicated for Zhong Ru to come forward. Zhong Ru put his hand on the injured mist person and then after a few moments, he nodded towards Zhou Mo. "Has Brothers Wu discovered something?" Seeing this, Bing Yao couldn't resist asking. Seeing Zhong Ru nodded, Zhou Mo instantly understood and explained. "On our way, we encountered 4 Diana Xiao from Xian Kong Temple. Based on the injuries of this brother, he was wounded by a Diana Xiao. I speculate that it could be the 4 Diana Xiao from Xian Kong Temple." Xian Kong Temple. Bing Yao's face darkened. In the recent days, Zhou Mo had been introducing the state of the outside world to them. He had a general understanding of what Xian Kong Temple was. Bing Yao did not hesitate and said decisively, "No matter what, this clan will fight to the last remaining member and will not allow anyone to enter the restricted lands." Finishing, several mist people ran out of the conference hall. Strange howls sounded in all directions. Hearing the howls, large numbers of mist people warriors gathered like the tide from all directions in the conference hall. As Bing Yao spoke to them, all of the mist people had murderousness on their faces. "Brother Zhou, your group can first stay." Bing Yao eased his tone as he turned to Zhou Mo to speak. "Big Brother Bing is too polite," Zhou Mo said with a serious expression. "This little brother has been waiting for an opportunity. Big Brother Bing does not know, but this group of thieving baldies have tried to entrap us on our way through the Cloud Sea. I have been thinking about how to get even, and this opportunity has delivered itself. Also, this brother was wounded in the pursuit of finding water cloud embryos for us. There is no honorable rationale for us to stand back and only observe." Bing Yao's eyes were filled with an admiring light. He patted Zhou Mo's shoulder heavily. "Good. I will accept you as a brother. Go. Let us go together. Xian Kong Temple. Shu, the person just now was so strange, Ming Jing said with lingering shock. The blue figure had been like a ghost. If Shu had not attacked and heavily injured the other, they would not be safe and uninjured now. Ding Zhen, whose expression was usually warm, was now extremely dark. He squeezed out through his teeth, "That is a mist person." The three disciples were frightened by the viciousness of Ding Zhen's face. A long while later, someone asked carefully, "Shu, what is the mist person?" "The remnant bastards of an ancient line." Ding Zhen noticed the expressions of the three disciples and relaxed his expression. "Remember for the future. If you encounter members of ancient descent lines, report them to the sect." The three were stunned by Ding Zhen's stern tone and nodded in compliance. Ding Zhen suddenly closed his mouth. He had hit that mist person with his attack but had not found the corpse afterwards. He definitely had fellows that helped him escape. Was it a mist person tribe? Ding Zhen became alert. If that was true, then this trip was really worth it. Even if he did not find that object, just the discovery of the Mist People tribe would be enough for the sect to reward him. He started to cast a spell and his Ling power shifted slightly. A circle of golden light flashed at his fingertips. Ding Zhen opened his eyes and sighed inwardly. The ice mist was slightly strange. He was unable to deliver any message to the outside and back to the sect. Ding Zhen became wary. These descendant of ancients most likely had a few tricks if they had managed to survive until now. Xian Kong Temple was full of experts and the division of responsibilities was extremely fine. Specialized matters were taken care of by specialized people. Ding Zhen had never participated in this kind of mission. Truthfully, if they had not been the closest ones to Cloud Sijie, they would not have received this mission. No matter what, it was most important to finish the mission. "Be careful, let's go," Ding Zhen said heavily. "The matter this time is strange. If something goes wrong, turn and run. Do not hesitate, understand?" Ding Zhen was not a person who held power or status in the sect, otherwise, he would not have been sent out on such a low-level mission, taking disciples out to gain experience. It was not that his power was not enough, but that he was not well liked by the main decision-makers of the sect. He did not want anything to happen to the disciples on his watch. The protocols of the sect were strict. If there were not any orders, the punishment for fleeing was very heavy. "Yes, Shu," the three hurriedly replied. Bi Han carefully browsed the information in the Jade Scroll. This was the 15th time. The information had been gathered by the sect and included all kinds of information about Turtle Island. Bi Han could see that the sect had not been paying attention to Turtle Island for too long of a time. It should have just started gathering information a few days ago. Otherwise, the information would not be so sparse. Bi Han knew the power of the sect in gathering intelligence. Given enough time, they could find almost any information that could be imagined. There was nothing special in the report on Cloud Sijie. This was a remote intermediate Jie and did not have a significant faction in the past. The main point of the intelligence report was on this faction called Turtle Island. This faction was very strong and had defeated Mo army. Seeing the words, Mo army, Bi Han's pupils uncontrollably contracted even though this was the 15th time. The scale of the Mo army was unknown but none of the local powers were able to stop them, which had caused the entire Jie to flee. The situation was only improved when Turtle Island stepped up and said they were going to fight the Mo army. Cloud Sijie was remote and did not have many products, so it had not attracted attention in the past. None of the tendrils of the four realms had reached this place. One of the most important reasons for this was that Cloud Sijie did not have a Jie master. Up until now, the Jie key of Cloud Sijie was still undiscovered. This attracted Bi Han's attention. The Jie key was of crucial importance to every Jie. For every person, this meant peerless wealth. Possessing the Jie key granted the ability to see the Ling veins and ores in the Jie. Other than that, the Jie key could also control the Ling energy of the Jie. Usually, the Jie key would be found soon after a Jie was discovered. The Xiuzhe which flooded in would crazily search for the Jie key. It was wealth that could drive people insane. Strangely, the Jie key of Cloud Sijie had not been found yet, and the history of Xiuzhi residence on Cloud Sijie was uncertain but definitely over 1,000 years. It was impossible that no one had searched for the Jie key during such a long period time. Only by possessing the Jie key will one become the true master of Cloud Sijie. Bi Han was speculating to the true intentions of the sect. The sect leader said that it was to help Ding Zhen, but Bi Han did not believe him at all. He knew Ding Zhen's status in the sect. It was a joke that the sect leader would send a battalion just to help Ding Zhen. Also, they had let him venture out. After he had gotten his gold battle general jade medal, he had been forced into house arrest and to chant sutras every day. No one appeared to be guarding the door, but Bi Han knew that there were countless pairs of eyes staring at his little yard from the shadows. There were elders in the sect that said he was bloodthirsty. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but smile coldly. Jiangzhe appeared handsome and gentle, but he was not soft when he started to kill. He never heard of any elder calling Jiangzhe bloodthirsty. All of this was just because. He suddenly turned his head and looked at the Sin battalion in front of him. The golden restrictive sutra characters were as blinding as sunlight in his eyes. A beat later, he took his gaze away and thought deeply without any expression on his face. The sect had even prepared transportation formations for him to be transported directly into Cloud Sijie. The expenditure for this mission was astounding, and it was possible to see how much the sect prioritized this. To transport directly into Cloud Sijie? The sect had sent spies into Cloud Sijie a long time ago. What were they planning? Only when the light of the transportation formation entered his eyes did he break free of his thoughts. Several Diana Xiu were standing by the transportation. The one that was the leader stepped forward and said respectfully, "Bi Han Darren, the transportation formation has been prepared. You can depart at any time." Bi Han did not even look at the other. He walked directly towards the transportation formation expressionlessly. The Sin battalion was behind him and silent as though they were dead. Chapter 534, Lantern Fire Buddhist Boundary. Everyone traveled quickly through the ice mist. The mist people were born living in the ice mist and had methods to freely move within it. Zuorimo could see some hints as to what method they used. The mist people beside him formed thin ice mist shield. These rhombus ice mist shields allowed them to skate through the ice mist. Zuorimo's mind shifted. He consciously started to mimic the mist people. He was unable to manipulate the ice mist, but he had other methods. At the beginning, he failed completely, but as the number of failures increased, Zuorimo slowly found the method. At the beginning, he used Ling power, but he quickly found that Ling power was expended quickly. Then he switched to spiritual consciousness. It was also expended quickly. In the end, he found that Shen power was the most effective and its expenditure was almost negligible. However, it was much harder to control Shen power than Ling power and spiritual consciousness. Zuorimo could only barely maintain it. Wei Xing quickly noticed what Zuorimo was doing. With a glance, he understood. Wei Xing was extremely intelligent and his skill in sword essence very high. He was not a jack of all trades like Zuorimo and quickly grasped the trick. He used the sword essence to form a rhombus shield around him and his speed suddenly increased. Wei Xing's display stunned Bing Yao and the others. Bing Yao suddenly snorted coldly. "In the front, I've found him." Ding Zhen suddenly had a feeling of danger. He stopped in his steps. His expression changed abruptly as he shouted at the trio of disciples, "Quick, run!" The trio stilled and their faces paled. They were not slow in their reaction, turning and then running in 3 different directions. There were sounds of rustling. 3 blue lights flew out of the ice mist and accurately struck the 3 disciples. Blue ice mist spread at a visible rate. Their terrified expressions froze on their faces as they turned into ice statues. Pia pia pia. The 3 ice statues smashed to the ground and instantly shattered. Ding Zhen glared angrily, his eyes bloodshot. However, he did not counterattack and shot towards the ice mist. His heart was full of shock. He had to pass this news back to the sect. There was a mist people tribe of such scale. Want to run? Bing Yao's face was full of murderousness. With a cold snort he pointed at the ice mist. Hiss. Two light sounds hissed like poisonous snakes as the mist shifted. Two thin strands of ice mist shot towards Ding Zhen. Two burning rays of blue light penetrated Ding Zhen's body in an instant. Yet Bing Yao's expression suddenly changed slightly. Ding Zhen's figure slowly faded within the ice mist until it disappeared. What had been penetrated was just his afterimage. Everyone step back. Bing Yao suddenly said. The mist people retreated like the tide, leaving Bing Yao to stand at the front. Zhou Mo and the others also retreated to one side, but Zhou Mo was more thoughtful. Zhou Mo and his group retreated to the flanks to prevent the other from running away. Ding Zhen's figure slowly appeared. He stared tightly at Bing Yao and slowly spoke. I had not expected to encounter ancient descendants. Ding Zhen is very fortunate. Bing Yao was unaffected and said coldly, Why have you trespassed into our restricted lands? Restricted lands? Ding Zhen's eyelids jumped. So that object is on your hands. That object. Bing Yao's gaze focused. Ah, Ding Zhen smiled faintly. Do not waste words. I see that all the people here only you are close to me in strength. It will depend solely on Sir's strength if you can keep me here. Bing Yao did not speak. He spread his arms, his fingers spread wide. 10 blue rays of light dangled from his fingertips like 10 blue threads of light. Ding Zhen's talisman was extremely unique. It was the wooden fish, one he usually used when chanting. The wooden fish was completely black and covered in minuscule vermilion sutra characters. The wooden mallet was also filled with squiggly sutra characters. The moment Ding Zhen took out the wooden fish, Zhou Mo and the others changed expression. 7th grade talisman. This was definitely a 7th grade talisman. It was not surprising that Ding Zhen had a 7th grade talisman. No one would believe that a Yuanying Xiuzhe from Xiankong Temple would not have a 7th grade talismans. Zhou Mo and the others knew the power of a 7th grade talisman. Zhong Ru's prayer wheel was a 7th grade talisman. Both were 7th grade talismans, but the power they had in the hands of Jindan and Yuanying was drastically different. 7th grade talismans were the top talismans Jindan could use, and due to limitations in cultivation, Jindan Xiuzhe usually could only express 20% of a 7th grade talisman's potential. The great majority could only use 1/10. Yuanying Xiuzhe could use all the potential of a 7th grade talisman. The strength of a Xiuzhe depended on many factors. Ling power, the quality of the spell cultivated, the depth of personal understanding, talismans, etc., but the chasm in power between Yuanying and Jindan was one that was uncrossable. No matter in what skill, Yuanying Xiuzhe had an absolute advantage. So when he saw the wooden fish that Ding Zhen took out was a 7th grade talisman, Zhou Mo instantly had a bad feeling. The destruction that a Yuanying Xiuzhe pushed to the edge could release. Looking at Ding Zhen that was holding the wooden fish and mallet with a grave expression, Zhou Mo could only hope that Bing Yao would be able to withstand the attack. Yuanying was still something that made him feel unconfident. Zhou Mo tried to keep his expression calm, but Wei Sheng and Zhong Ru were full of fighting spirit. Ding Zhen sat down on the ground as though he was not surrounded. He put the wooden fish next to him, his head bent low and his eyes looked down as he started to drum against the fish and chant. Byum byum byum. The sounds from the wooden fish seemed to come from the ancient temples in deep valleys and were just faintly discernible. The light in the surroundings slowly dimmed. The blueness of the ice mist in their view was consumed by a darkness. Figures seemed to walk out of the darkness and solidify. Those were Diana Xiao half-dressed in monk robes with exposed shoulders. These figures did not seem to seize Zhou Mo's group and bent at their waists. A dot of candle light lit up in empty space. The Diana Xiao continued to bend down and ignite candle fires. The dots of candle fire lit up one after another, swaying like the stars in the sky. Waves of Buddha's song came from the figures' candle lights. Zhou Mo's face was full of astonishment. Wei Sheng tightly gripped the black sword as excitement pulsed furiously in his eyes. He murmured to himself, "Is this the true boundary?" Boundary? Zhou Mo recovered from his shock. Hearing this, he was stunned. He's a sword Xiao? Zhuemo only knew that boundary was a high level of sword essence. Eldest Shixiang had reached the edge of comprehending it. Not a sword xiao. Wei Sheng's burning gaze did not move as he said gravely, no matter if it is sword xiao, seal xiao, Diana xiao, when they cultivate to a certain stage, the paths all merge together with the comprehension of boundary. Zhong Ru explained at this time, the Diana xiao call this the great freedom. His tone exposed his longing. His comprehension ability was not as high as Wei Sheng. Even though he possessed the rare wish power, his level was not high and he had not reached the stage of boundary yet. Zhuemo did not blush at his own ignorance of cultivation. He rubbed his chin and asked, "Is this an illusion? This thieving baldy is skilled in illusory spells. We almost got tricked on the way here." "It is not an illusory art." Wei Sheng shook his head and struggled. "I do not know how to explain, but he is very powerful. We need to be careful." "A Yuanying thieving baldy is still a Yuanying." Zhuemo agreed. "No, that is not what I mean." Wei Sheng shook his head again. "Boundary is a dividing line. There is a world of a difference between those who have and have not comprehended it. Boundary is related to comprehension but not cultivation. Not all Yuanying can comprehend boundary." Zhuemo instantly became nervous. Eldest Shixiang is saying this thieving baldy is a high-level thieving baldy among the Yuanying thieving baldies? Wei Sheng had a conflicted expression. No and yes. The implications to our situation are about the same. How many rounds can we survive against him? Zhuemo decided to ask a very pragmatic question. "I don't know." Wei Sheng shook his head. "We may not even be able to stand up against one move." Shittier. When he said this, Wei Sheng had a wary expression. He instantly halted and then said indistinctly, "That's strange. I don't understand much of it." Hearing this, Zhuemo instantly understood. Even though Wei Sheng did not state it clearly, what he meant was that the possibility they wouldn't last one move was very high. He instantly said weakly, "Why don't we hide behind Big Brother Bing Yao? It seems that Big Brother Bing Yao is very powerful." Bing Yao was standing in a patch of figures and candlelights without any trace of panic on his face. The 10 hair-thin blue rays of light floated in the air. They continuously grew. The other ends of the rays reached deep into the darkness and the end could not be seen. It was clear this was a battle of a higher level, one that surpassed the abilities of Zhuemo and the others. Ding Zhen's light sigh came from the sea of candlelight. "A branch of the ancients is as wondrous as expected. This one's lantern light Buddhist boundary is not completely successful. Powerful." The ground under Bing Yao's feet was covered with faint blue ice mist in a radius of 1 zhang. The blue light that it released was abnormally eye-catching against this black sea of candlelight. Bing Yao's expression was cold, but a hint of admiration flashed through his eyes. "If we were not in the ice mist, I am not a match for you." His expression suddenly turned stern as the blue light flashed through his eyes. "But right now, die." His hands spread, the 10 blue strands of light suddenly brightened and flying into the air. Innumerable blue threads of light swept through the candlelight sea and the Diana xiao that were igniting candles. Everywhere the lights passed, an extremely cold frost spread in all directions. The candle lights that were swept by the blue light did not extinguish. They seemed to stop as though they were frozen. The white frost that came after the lights spread onto the surfaces of the flames. The frost then thickened and encased and sealed the candle lights. The glowing ice crystals were regular cubes. At the center of each cube was a frozen candle light. The light it released refracted within the cube, becoming bright and eerie. The ice crystals that sealed the candle lights floated in the air like stars. Ding Zhen's brows moved, his expression becoming even more dignified and authoritative. The red squiggly sutra characters on the wooden fish and mallet seemed to come alive and slowly move. Suddenly, a golden sutra character flew out of the mouth of the wooden fish. Then a stream of golden sutra characters flew out of the wooden fish into the air. In a flash, the sky was filled with gold and glimmering sutra characters. A sutra character floated past Zhong Ru, eyes closed. Zhong Ru's body shuddered violently, and a shocked expression rose on his face. 1. A wooden fish, muyu or makujio, is a wooden percussion instrument used by monks during rituals involving the recitation of sutras, mantras, or other Buddhist texts. They are tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.